my best friend.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
For my friends.
77 WABC.
It's the most anticipated night of the 2024 presidential race to date, the historic rematch between President Joe Biden and his predecessor Donald Trump. Thursday's showdown between the two oldest candidates to ever run for the White House also marks the first debate in history between a sitting president and a former one, and the earliest general election face-off ever held in this country.
Is anybody going to watch the debate?
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Make my day, pal.
It's been 4 years since the rivals last shared a stage.
Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
you're the worst president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me
and the stakes couldn't be higher in a race that has for months been essentially tied.
Yeah, this could be considered the most important presidential debate of all time. Both candidates couldn't be more diametrically opposed, both in terms of style and their governing agendas and policies.
Biden's plan to go on the offensive against Trump and underscore to voters the choice between a steady leader and a convicted felon. But it's also the president's most critical chance yet to dispel the narrative that he's too old and mentally unfit for another term.
The age issue certainly is going to come up again. He did a lot to dispel some of those criticisms during the State of the Union address in March when he did pretty well and was very energetic.
Because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people.
But he's got to show that he's strong in comparison to Trump, has the command of the facts, doesn't make any verbal mistakes or gaffes.
Trump sees Thursday's match as an opportunity to slam Biden over his record on inflation and immigration and prove he can remain disciplined and on message while under fire.
He needs to appear to be presidential and above the fray, and so people that may have some questions about his temperaments or ability to serve for another term, he can eliminate those.
Call says the ground rules for Thursday's debate could actually help Trump in that respect, with mics muted when it's not a candidate's turn to speak.
Will you shut up, man? Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
With the second and final debate still months away in September, both sides know a knockout performance in Thursday's face-off will be crucial as the race barrels toward the summer conventions and pivotal stretch.
The trial in New York, the one he got convicted for, was the greatest fundraising bonanza ever. He was behind Biden, and now he's pulled quite a bit ahead. That trial was the greatest reason people had to send their checks for $5, $10, $25, whatever dollars to Donald Trump. So I was always with you on the one in New York, the hush money trial. I don't think they should have brought that one. It was just always going to look like a sex case, and people were always just going to look at it that way. So anyway.
That case, the Attorney General's case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG in New York, I'm telling you that case would have never been brought. And that's what is offensive to people. And it should be. Because if there's anything left, it's belief in the justice system.
There are new signs of growing tensions in relations between the United States and Israel. CBS's MTS Tayyab is in Tel Aviv for us with the details. MTS.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is doubling down on his accusation the U.S. is withholding deliveries of weapons to Israel after making a similar claim just days ago. And as Israeli attacks across Gaza intensify, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has yet again accused the U.S. of withholding weapons shipments for Israel, telling his cabinet the drop-in-arms deliveries began 4 months ago without specifying which weapons. For weeks, we asked our American friends to speed up the shipments, he said. We did it time and time again. Netanyahu's repeated claims have sparked fury from his critics in Israel and have been met with confusion and denials from the White House, exposing what's been described as major tensions with the Biden administration. Tensions which are also growing over Israel's actions in the occupied West Bank. Following outrage over this video of Israeli soldiers driving with an injured Palestinian strapped to an army jeep. which a top UN official described as human shielding in action. And in a statement, Israel's military said the incident violated protocol and was under investigation. But Israeli human rights groups say such behavior is rarely disciplined and that Israeli forces operate in a climate of impunity, an allegation the military strongly denies.
The United States has been really acting as Hezbollah's lawyer since before October 7th. And then in the face of this rising, constantly escalating Hezbollah aggression against Israel, the United States hasn't said, okay, enough is enough. You've crossed every red line. Israel is our ally and we're standing with Israel. No, Biden announced an embargo on 2,000-pound bombs to our Air Force, right? Meaning he's trying to constrain Israel's ability to actually take action against Hezbollah. So essentially, what he's saying is that we're taking one of the most critical weapon systems that Israel uses in our Air Force and we're blocking it. But just that. And why are we doing that? Because we're nasty, because we're accusing Israel of war crimes. So he's actually accepting the fact that, yes, what it just said is absolutely true. And then he's saying, how dare you accuse us of doing what I just acknowledged that we're doing? We are embargoing arms to Israel.
Hey, Alan, I came down to Brooklyn. You know, this is my birthplace, to have your slice of cheesecake. But more importantly, to give you some advice. I understand you want to run as a moderate Republican to be mayor. Great. I welcome you in to the gladiator pit. But, number one, you're not a blue-collar guy. You live in a very affluent area of Westchester. We already have Eric Adams claiming he's a blue-collar mayor in a $5,000 customized suit. Then you say you want to be the hospitality mayor. We already got one. The nightlife mayor to the break of dawn. We don't need you partying to the break of dawn. And then you said the craziest thing. I'm sure that Eric Adams is doing the best that he can. That would be your opponent. Why would you be running? He's destroying the city. What is your campaign theme going to be? Like Marie Antoinette? Let them eat cheesecake?
Here at home, a car has hit and killed a 19-year-old woman at a bus stop in Queens. She was struck along Rockaway Beach Boulevard in Rockaway Park near 108th Street. That white SUV that hit her badly damaged. That SUV also knocked over several metal seats at that bus stop.
A large, skirt, somebody hit the brakes and then boom. By the time I looked, I saw the car on the sidewalk turn over the two seats for the bus stop right there and right into the pole.
We've just learned the driver who struck the 19-year-old has been taken into custody. The car went up onto the sidewalk where police say the woman was hit at a bus stop. Police say the driver remained on scene. No word yet what caused the crash.
Carey and Boys to Men, One Sweet Day, as we get going. Another Monday morning, a brand new week on Sid and Friends in the morning. Anniversary week for me. Tomorrow, Tuesday, June 25th, will mark 32 years. 32 years married to my beautiful wife, Danielle. But that's tomorrow. I want to start with why we played that beautiful song. I love that song. Mariah Carey and Boys to Men, One Sweet Day. And it is, of course, it is all about the last story in the Open. The Open covered a lot. Thursday night, Trump-Biden debate. We're going to go into all these things all week long with amazing guests, as we always do. So Thursday night, the big debate. Then you had Andrew Cuomo, the former governor. He's going to run for mayor. Write it down. On with Bill Maher, talking about how unfairly Donald Trump has been treated. Yes, he did say that. Then you've got these growing tensions between Bibi, my guy, and Biden. That putts as the U.S. continues to withhold weapons from Israel in their battle against Hamas and Hezbollah. Then you've got Caroline Glick from JNS. And talking about JNS, my dear friend, the CEO, Alex Traiman, set to join me live from Jerusalem coming up at 7:45 this morning. Caroline calling out this administration and the U.S. government into Alan Rosen, who actually was on with me one other time. He was on a couple of weeks ago. I forget why. He owns Junior's, the very famous cheesecake. He's also got very good food. And my man Curtis Sliwa, he must have done this after the car caravan yesterday, which I couldn't make, sitting at Junior's restaurant having a cheesecake and calling out Alan Rosen, who announced yesterday in the New York Post he is considering running for mayor against Eric Adams. But the last story in today's Open didn't mention any names, but talked about a 19-year-old girl. I imagine she's 20 now, being hit by a car, driver losing all control behind the wheel. This young lady was sitting at a bus stop in my neighborhood, and the car just slammed into her, killing her, and also wiping out a bunch of seats, basically wiping out the whole bus stop. So yesterday, I go to the gym, and my gym is on 105th and Rockaway Beach Boulevard. My buddy Sean Cerrone, Burn Fitness, great gym. But I needed some drug items after. I needed shaving cream. I needed deodorant. I needed a bunch of drug items. So 3 blocks away from my gym is the Walgreens, the exact spot where that bus stop is and where Ava Conklin, that's her name, Ava Conklin, was killed. So I walked over to the Walgreens. I purchased my items. I spent $54, and I have no idea why. I mean, you buy 4 things, it's over $50. And then I walked out to the bus stop. I was going to take the bus home from that exact bus stop to my house. And a guy comes over on a bicycle. He's a local guy. His name is Joe Corey. And I like Joe because he fights. He's on one of those community boards, I guess. And he fights for all the things my neighborhood needs. And he says, "You are Sid, right?" I go, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Oh, man, love the show." He goes, "Tomorrow's a big day." This is yesterday. I go, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of Ava's death." Now, mind you, I'm literally standing there in front of this huge memorial. There's pictures, there's flowers, there's candles. It's huge. Clearly, this family, the Conklin family, and this young lady, beloved by our community. And I'm not there long enough to say I know her. I didn't know her. He goes, "Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of her death. In fact, tomorrow, right here at this bus stop, we're going to get together about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, tons of us, and then go across the street to the Rockaway Hotel." I said, "Geez, a year." I had no idea. I had no idea. And so when I talk about this story, clearly there are some things that are in my life that are very similar. This young lady that died, her name is Ava. My only daughter, her name is Ava. This young lady that died is 20 years old, and my daughter Ava is 20 years old. So I'd be lying if I didn't say that there was some striking similarities. She was also a beautiful girl, Ava Conklin, like my daughter is. Striking similarities between the two. that certainly, when I became aware of this story, made me feel closer to this young lady, who, again, I never met, than maybe I would another victim. Not that my heart doesn't go out to every victim, but this is my neighborhood. This is a young girl who shares my daughter's name and the same age. And the way she died was just so tragic and such a waste. I guess it turns out the guy who was driving, I think his name is Daniel Sales, 30 years old, and he fell asleep at the wheel. Why he would fall asleep at the wheel at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a summer Sunday, I have no idea. I also know that Ava was killed last June, and this kid wasn't taken into custody until January of 2024. Why it took all those months, I don't know. And I believe there was a trial, but again, I don't know any of the outcome. So Ava's dad is a guy named Matt Conklin, and he works for the sanitation department. And he loves this show. That's right, Bill Moser. You know who you are, you putz. He loves this show. Listens every day. And has thanked me time and time again for keeping his daughter's memory alive. And Matt Conklin is going to join us coming up this morning at 9:45. Promises to be very emotional. Again, on the 1 year, I hate using the word anniversary, the 1 year commemoration of the death of his little girl, with a whole bunch of ceremonies to take place, Lewis, in our neighborhood. I know you passed that Walgreens many times, yes?
Every day, almost, yeah.
Every day.
I see it.
That memorial, right, it's heart-wrenching.
To me, you can't stop thinking about it when you see it and you pass it.
So many pictures, her on the beach, and, you know, I actually found something on the Times of Rockaway, that website where people don't always like me. Most do. And there was a video after she died, a video of her, which I shared on my Facebook page. You can see all that stuff on my Instagram page, which I compel you to follow today at Rosenberg.Sydney, or my Facebook page, which is simply Sid Rosenberg, S-I-D. For some reason, a lot of you who I know for years, including Christopher Mad Dog Russo, still spell it S-Y-D. It's not S-Y-D, it's S-I-D. So, I'm going to do another hour today, and I didn't want to because I want to get to that bus stop by 1 o'clock. And by doing the extra hour, that gets me to that bus stop around 1:30. So when they initially asked to do the extra hour today for Kilmeade, I said no. He said, but they really don't want Curtis doing the extra 2 hours. So eventually I caved in, but I really wanted to leave right after the show to make sure I'm there on time for this get-together memorial at the bus stop and the hotel. Not to burst Curtis's bubble, because no one loves Curtis more than me. I put him on every day. And he did a great job with the car caravan, Marine Park yesterday, and we played the video in the open of him at Juniors, but they really don't want Curtis doing 3 hours. And I know he's listening right now, and he's going to yell at me, but these are the facts. I actually said, no, give it to Curtis. And they said, oh, please, please, please.
You're really, forming a lot of delight in this. That's all of a sudden, you're giddy. Look how gleefully.
And I was all upset and sad over Ava, and then Curtis.
Right,
yeah. I'm like, I really don't want to do it. Give it to Curtis. He's great. Come on, he's Curtis. No, please.
I think Sid asked him to, can you repeat that so I can record it, please?
Come on.
Let's just kidding around.
So, not really. No. So, no, I'm not kidding around at all. They were like, please, come in, stay here. Please. So we got that coming up later on today. Then later on tonight, of course, I'm going to be back on Long Island, not far from where I was on Saturday in the Hamptons. I'll be in Riverhead later on tonight, which is really far out there. I mean, you're like 2 exits away from Hampton Bays. My buddy Bobby Hartmann, who's going to join me coming up in about 20 minutes, he runs Mainstream House, which is a a great recovery center out on Long Island. And you heard Darryl Strawberry on this show on Friday. Well, Mainstream House and Bobby Hartmann is going to honor me and Darryl Strawberry together at this golf course later on tonight for all of our work in recovery. That's a huge deal. And Bobby's coming up at 6:45. So tonight, I get honored with Strawberry. Tomorrow, once again, is my 32-year wedding anniversary to my gorgeous wife. And then Wednesday night, another big day, my son Gabriel starts his second season at the St. Francis Summer Classic. A huge step up, though, new division, high schoolers, kids going to college. And I'm coaching, which is an amazing honor. Thank you, Bird. I'm going to coach Gabriel and his little buddy there, Burf, Willie Jimenez. And our first game comes up, the Blue Bears, 8:15 on Wednesday night. And a lot of famous people are coming to watch Gabe play. Everybody from Lou Ruffino to Mike Sullivan to, I believe, Jeff Van Gundy.
What?
Jeff Van Gundy?
Well, I made that part up, but yeah. But the first two I was serious.
Or I'll call Jeff and I'll make sure he's
So it's a big, big week. And then just a reminder, folks, that next week, I know it's a week away, but next week I'm only here for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday, July 3rd, right through Sunday, July 7th, I start my summer holidays, which I'll take 3 or 4 before Labor Day, but it starts next week. So you get 5 days of me this week, 2 days of me next week, and then I'm back on Monday, July is it the 7th or the 8th? The 8th, I guess. Yes, the 8th, because Monday's July 1st.
Correct.
Monday is actually the 4-year commemoration of my father's passing. The great Harvey died July 1st, 4 years ago this Monday. So, huge guest list once again about to come your way. Bobby Hartmann this hour, Curtis Sliwa, and live from Jerusalem, Alex Traiman in the 7 o'clock hour. John Catsimatidis and the great Roger Stone talking Trump-Biden debate in the 8 o'clock hour. Ina Vernikov and Matt Conklin in the 9 o'clock hour. And finally, Mr. Rosen, the owner of Juniors, running for mayor. He'll be here in the 10 o'clock hour. So, there we go. Monday morning, brand new week. Sid and Friends in the morning. Keep it right here for the next 4.5 hours. I got you. Sid and Friends in the morning on a brand new Monday.
They say every distance is not near. So I remember every face of every man who put me here. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. They say every man needs protection. They say that every man must fall. Yet I swear I see my reflection somewhere so high above this wall. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released.
Entertaining and informative.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
Sitting on the the meaning of our love. It fits so tight, closer than a glove. Sitting on a pebble by the river, playing guitar, wondering if we're really ever gonna get that far. Do you know there's something wrong? 'Cause I felt it all along. I can see
6:33 on your Monday morning, wrapping up June 24th. So I did it early Saturday morning. Danielle and I left and went to the Hamptons. And predictably, I know you guys knew this would be the case. With all my bitching and complaining, which lasted basically all weekend, did make for very entertaining radio, I must say myself. Not a great time. Great time. First of all, Jen DeLandro. A lot of you guys know Jen as our Botox lady, Dolce Aesthetics. You want Botox, you want fillers, you want facials, all that good stuff. Nobody better than Jen. 4 convenient locations, Glendale, Howard Beach, Brooklyn, and Oceanside. But Jen is actually a dear, dear friend of Danielle and I, maybe our closest. And she invited us to go to the Hamptons to this party. We had the young lady on the show Friday, Vanessa Gordon, and it was a lovely event. They raised money for a suicide prevention group. They've got a friend or a family member, I'm not even sure, and he killed himself. And you know how I feel about suicide. So it was a very, very good cause. The only issue with the party, which again was beautiful, was the heat. Saturday was brutal in the Hamptons, and this party took place outside by the swimming pool. And it was just roasting. I mean, roasting. And I wore a sport jacket, and everybody loved the jacket.
I was going to say, that was a nice jacket.
Yeah, right? Wasn't that hot?
Yeah.
You can get all that stuff. Anthony, the garage, my good buddy Anthony at the garage in Brooklyn. It's legendary. All you folks that tell me 2 or 3 times a week, nobody dresses like Sid Rosenberg. Nobody. You can buy those jackets, too. You're not going to look as good, I promise you that. But you can buy the same jacket.
Well, yeah, I'm looking for something.
Well, what's the point, then, if I can't look as good as you?
Well, you look good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
What an endorsement. Great.
Yeah. That's it. You'll look good enough. So the party was great, and then we went to the beach. Her friend Katrina, who's a makeup stylist, lovely lady, lovely. Katrina, Jen, me, and Danielle went to the beach there in Hampton Bay, Suffolk County, and that was fun. And then we had a nice steak dinner at a place, and I think I forgot, One North, I think. I think it was called One North, very good steakhouse. And then we had a great night's sleep and left early yesterday morning and ended up back in Rockaway. So it was a beautiful day. Jen has a lovely house. The party was terrific. The people were very, very nice. A bunch of Sid and Friends in the Morning fans there. In fact, we just pulled up, and they had a shuttle, which broke, of course, that was driving people from down at the hill where they were valet parking cars to up to the house where they were having the party. And as soon as we pulled up, this couple was there, and they listen every day. They were great. Oh, my God, this is kind of cool. I figured everybody here would hate me. Wasn't the case. It was a very nice day and a lovely party. So congratulations to Vanessa Gordon and all of her friends who got that done. So that's that. Now, not only is this a huge week with the big night tonight with me and Darryl Strawberry, my wedding anniversary tomorrow, Gaby's first basketball game of the new season coming up Wednesday, but we've also got a red-hot Mets team that just took 2 out of 3 from the Cubbies, and they're hitting home runs every day. And the Yankees, who despite losing 2 out of 3 to Atlanta, still lead the majors with 52 wins, a head-to-head matchup, the first Subway Series of the 2024 Major League Baseball season set to start tomorrow night. Tomorrow night in Queens at Citi Field. It's the Mets and the Yankees, and about a month ago, This looked like a dog matchup because the Yankees were winning every night and the Mets were losing every night. But right now, the last month, the Mets have been the better team, even though the Yankees, again, still lead the majors in wins. So tomorrow you get Garrett Cole back on the mound for the Yankees. And David Peterson, who's been very good, he'll start for the Mets. And Wednesday, I believe it's going to be Sean Manaea for the Mets. It is. And Luis Heel, who comes off a horrible outing, makes a start for the Yanks. So Cole and Heel for the Yanks, Peterson and Manaea for the Mets. Yankees go to Toronto for a 4-game set starting against the Blue Jays on Thursday. The Mets get the day off on Thursday. They welcome the Houston Astros to Citi Field coming up on Friday. The Mets right now are just 1 game back in the wild card. It's a mess there. Atlanta and St. Louis, they are the wild card leaders right now, but then you've got a whole bunch of teams, which include Washington, San Diego, Arizona, and the Mets that are all right there. So tomorrow night, Mets and Yankees, first matchup of the season. And how about this hockey season? My God. Game 7 tonight, the Florida Panthers. My dear friend Vinny Viola, everybody's dear friend Vinny Viola, all of Williamsburg, Brooklyn, all of the city, love Vinny Viola. The Panthers beat the Rangers. They win the first 3 games of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, well on their way to winning the very first ever Stanley Cup for the Panthers organization. They have not won a game since. They've lost 3 in a row. And Connor McDavid, who's probably the best player in hockey, he is, in fact, and that young Oilers team has an opportunity to win the Cup. Now, they got to win in Florida. We know that, but they've already won in Florida this series. So the Panthers were up 3-0, needed 1 more win to win the Cup. The Oilers have won the last 3 games since, and tonight you get a deciding Game 7 from Sunrise, Florida. How exciting is that, Alec?
Yeah, that's going to be some game.
Is there any way that the Panthers can actually regain the muster and win this game tonight, or are they dead?
I think it's the point you made right there at home.
Yes.
For Game 7. So, that's really
but
where...
they've already lost at home the last couple of years.
But, I mean, where else are you going to get motivation from if you're the Panthers right now?
Yeah, true.
I mean, you're down in the dumps, man.
Well, I think they can't come back. I think it's over.
Yeah. I think
Edmonton wins tonight.
What an infamous bad ending they're going to have.
It'll be horrible.
But good for Edmonton and good for Connor McDavid, man.
Yeah, but they're
getting off the schneid.
They're in Canada. We hate Canada.
I know.
What are you, nuts?
Well, I'm just saying.
And those guys are young, too. They're
going to win a lot.
They're going to be around for a while.
Long time. One of the, actually, the shining moment I have to mention that took place, going back to the Hamptons party for a second. So we go inside because it was too hot out, and they had some air conditioning, not very much, but some air conditioning inside the house, and they had one of those tarot card readers, So Danielle said, I'm going to do this. So
that sounds like the Hamptons.
Oh, God. We just wanted any excuse to get inside. So the security guy who's working inside the building is like, hey, man, I know who you are. I recognize the voice. I knew it was you. His name is Lou. He goes, we got to take a picture together. I go, sure, no problem. So he looks at Danielle. He goes, you're going to take the picture. She goes, excuse me? And you guys know Danielle, right? Not, hey, will you please take the picture? Hey, could you help us out? He's like telling my wife, Danielle, what she's going to do.
Well, that should have worked well.
Yeah. So she goes, I will? Oh, I will? And then you can see the guy wanted to melt. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be the Wicked Witch of the East and Wizard of Oz and just melt. And he goes, well, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah.
But Danielle's response to this guy was, and I was happy for Danielle because, and I like the guy. The guy was great. He was enthusiastic. He's a fan of the show, but that's not how you do it, man.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And Danielle's always complaining that guys, are constantly assholes. Constantly.
Well, there's case in point.
There it is right
they
there.
Are.
But Danielle's response was great, so. And, of course, again, our anniversary coming up tomorrow, 32 years. I love my wife, and I'm proud of my wife. And she's tough. And that's one of the things that I find most appealing about her.
Well, don't use that picture as one of your gifts tomorrow. Probably that's one thing I would say.
I remember not to do that. That's a good
look how
idea.
great
Yes.
This is again. Yeah, what you took. Hey, happy anniversary.
Hey, no, before I get to Bobby Hartmann, what is the biggest local story that you covered on your great show from 5 to 6 this morning?
There's a couple, I guess. There's this horrendous drowning over the weekend. These two teenagers, Jacob Reese Park in Queens, they went in.
It happens every year by us.
Yeah.
People die in Rockaway in that water every summer.
Yeah.
Last summer we had sharks and drownings.
Yeah, right. That woman, the elderly woman, was bitten by a shark. And then we had, unfortunately, it's all horrendous news. And then this father from Queens tried to drown his kids over the weekend in the Long Island Sound in West Haven, Connecticut. And thank God the cops showed up, saw something weird was going on because it was the middle of the night, and they saved these kids. So thank God for those West Haven police. And I guess the third big story is congestion pricing back on the table. Governor Hochul now talking about a lower fee, and she might sign off on it.
She's the worst.
She's lost.
She's the
space.
worst. God,
My
she's
God,
a piece of
she's
garbage.
Stupid as it can get.
I also thought I saw a whole bunch of violence this weekend. And not even guns. Unless I read it incorrectly, I don't know, but I think I saw like 5 stabbings.
You did. There was triple stabbing outside the Trader Joe's on 14th Street Avenue A here in Manhattan, and then early this morning, a woman shot in the back while she sat in her car up in the Bronx. No.
Well, city's back. Don't you worry. The city is back. We're doing great. I mean, and then you get this awful story, which compelled me to do a really good video, I must say, by the speed bag in the gym yesterday, of this Jewish couple who's at I guess an elementary school graduation, and you get this Palestinian family, these animals, and they start pummeling the Jewish family. I mean, one of the Palestinians started screaming, long live Hamas. I don't even know what long live Hamas, something to that extent. And the Jewish people, of course, got upset. But as far as I know, the Jewish people did not do anything violent. It was the Palestinian people who did it. And they beat the living daylights out of this Jewish family. And this is why Ina Vernikov is coming on, because it took place in Brooklyn, and I know she's upset about it. And then when I called the cops yesterday, and I said, listen, this is a hate crime. And they said, well, they didn't disagree with me, but they said they're still investigating it. And I said, see, this is why, man. This is why the city is outraged with Mayor Eric Adams. He says a lot of stuff and does nothing. I saw a column about that yesterday by Ronan, who was a guy that was behind Eric Adams the whole way, and he blitzed Eric Adams on jns.org yesterday and said, enough with the stupid speeches and the press conferences, do something. So when a Palestinian family physically punches a Jewish family at a graduation, call it a hate crime. There's nothing to investigate. That was a hate crime. But in this city, they are slow to do anything to protect and defend the Jews. Is that not fair to say, Noam?
Yeah, this Palestinian family, they yelled, Free Palestine, Gaza is ours. It was a 5th grade graduation, PS 682. The theme of the graduation is all you need is love.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah.
Talk about a dichotomy in what the theme of what happened was. So I'm gonna reach out to my good buddy, Gary Marcus, who was a fellow Shamrim member and a great Jewish man, and he heads, I believe, the hate crime unit here in New York, and I'm going to appeal to Marcus to make this a hate crime and start putting these people in jail. They can't go on the subways and ask for Jews to stand up. They can't go to 5th grade graduations and start punching Jewish people in the face. They can't do it. And if the mayor's not going to do anything about it because he's scared to death that he may get indicted again, who knows what, then I need people like Gary Marcus, who runs a hate crime unit for the NYPD, who's a good man, a very good man, to label this a hate crime and have these people pay some repercussions. A middle school graduation, God damn it. Enough of this. All right, I got to take a short break. Bobby Hartmann, he's going to honor me tonight, me and Darryl Strawberry. It's a big, big deal out at Mainstream House in Riverdale.
This is Sid on Sports.
Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Elk here with your bottom of the hour sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Find a dealer near you. They are the world's best built boilers. Start here on the diamond in Chicago. Luis Severino tossed 6 shutout innings. Frankie Lindor and Brendan Nimmo hit back-to-back dingers, and the Mets topped the Cubs 5-2 yesterday after closer Edwin Diaz was ejected in the 9th before even throwing a pitch. Diaz came on to try to seal the victory, but was tossed for having a foreign substance after umpires inspected his right hand and glove. Per Major League Baseball's rules, a player faces a 10-game suspension if they are found to have used illegal foreign substances. That is likely what is coming Diaz's way. Drew Smith got 2 outs in place of Diaz before Jake Diekman struck out pinch hitter Patrick Wisdom for his 3rd save for the Mets, who have won 4 straight series now. Severino, 5-2 on the year, struck out a season-high 10 and allowed 3 hits for New York, which has won 10 of 13 and improved to 13-6 in June.
You know, Joe Beningo, the WFAN legend who's on this show now every week, he said it last week, he's right. There was a very quiet signing. I'm wearing a Puerto Rico sweatshirt today, and I was in Puerto Rico. I just got there on a Friday night having dinner, and I was watching Brian Kenny and Chris Russo talk about the Mets signing what we thought was an over-the-hill, finished, beat-up Luis Severino.
Yeah.
Turned out to be a great deal, so for all the criticism that David Stearns gets, and a lot of it deserved, the Severino deal so far has been amazing.
Yeah, Beningo said he wants the Mets to give him some moolah and some more years so he could remain a Met and remain in Queens. We'll see if that does come to fruition. As for the Yankees, they dropped their weekend series at home to the Braves following a 3-1 loss in yesterday's finale and rubber game against Atlanta. It was 92 degrees at the stadium, the hottest it's been since July of 2021, but the Yanks bats couldn't cool off Atlanta starter Max Fried, who shut down New York to the tune of 6 hits in 6 innings with 4 strikeouts and no walks. The Yanks have lost their 3rd straight set now after dropping 2 of 3 against both Boston and Baltimore, and to boot have put slugger Giancarlo Stanton on the injured list. A day after he strained his left hamstring, he'll miss about 4 weeks. Starter Nestor Cortez gave up 3 runs and 5 hits in 7 innings with 7 strikeouts and no walks. He's 4-3 with a 1.84 ERA at home. Up next for the Yanks after an off day today, before sending out ace Garrett Cole to make his 2nd start of the season in tomorrow's Subway Series opener in Queens against the Mets. We're looking forward to that. The Mets are going to go with lefty David Peterson. Checking in on the Staten Island Ferryhawks here as well. They were defeated 8-4 yesterday by the Lexington Legends in the rubber match of a 3-game weekend set on Staten Island. They are off today. On the ice, we're looking ahead to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight, where the Oilers will try and become just the 2nd team in Stanley Cup Finals history to complete a 3-0 series comeback. The Toronto Maple Leafs did it against the Detroit Red Wings in 1942. They'll do so against a reeling Florida Panther squad vying for their first title in franchise history. Puck drop from Sunrise scheduled for 8 p.m. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com, paviliontankless.com. Find a dealer near you. They're the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to Strawberry Field. Nothing is real, and nothing to get hung about. Strawberry Fields forever.
I tell you, I really enjoyed Darryl Strawberry on this show just a couple of days ago on Friday. He was terrific. Talked a lot about baseball, certainly the Mets. He's a Met forever, what George Steinbrenner did for him with the Yankees. But a lot of recovery talk on Friday with Darryl, too. He's a minister now and spends a lot of time speaking at meetings all over the country. And that brings me to my first guest on this busy Monday. It turns out he's a really, really good friend of mine. He invited me to his place, Mainstream House, out in Riverhead. I believe it was last summer. And I had the opportunity to speak to a bunch of brothers and sisters in recovery, a lot of them. And it was a very rewarding night. I felt terrible. I had no voice. I didn't feel well. But it was a great night. And Bobby Hartmann does terrific work every day. And he's got his annual golf tournament for the Mainstream House today. And they're honoring two people at the dinner later on tonight. Those two people happen to be the aforementioned baseball legend Darryl Strawberry and me. So with that said, here he is, Mr. Mainstream House, saving addicts all over the city and world, Bobby Hartmann. Bobby, good morning.
Great morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. Very excited about tonight. Darryl was great on this show on Friday. We did correspond once since then, and he's very much looking forward to tonight. So tell me about the day. You got the golf tournament, big event tonight. Tell me about the whole thing.
All right. So first of all, I just want to say about Diaz. It's that he was going to use he's going to get a suspension if you use the substance. Well, he didn't pitch. So if they allowed him to use one pitch, then go after him. Today's day is just a day of hope, and having you and Darryl here is just the cherry on top of this cake. The interview you had with him Friday was so inspiring, and you can feel, the hope and the love there, and that's what it's all about. Today's events, we got people who are, in recovery, people who work in the recovery field, and just what we call earthlings, people who are neither, that are participating, but support recovery and support, hope. And today we have the outing, and later on in the afternoon we have the big reception, the raw bar music, and then presentation to both you and Darryl. And a lot of people are stoked about it. We have a big events sponsor coming in. That's the Tarsay Palmer, a law firm, and George Palmer is a good, dear friend of mine. And we're going to have a couple of speakers that have been through Mainstream House and to start things off. So we're excited here.
No, it sounds like a great day. And I was struck last year when I came to visit Mainstream House and spoke again in front of the group. How many people were there? How many people are part of this group?
Well, about 120. And I have to say one thing. When you spoke about your experience, Strength and Hope, when you talked about your family, when you talked about your daughter, we had a young lady there who has 2 kids. And she broke down and was crying throughout it. And afterwards, and she goes to me, Bobby, how could you do this? And then, Bobby, thank you for doing this. I said, no, thank me. Thank Sid. And you really touched her. You touched everybody. And that's what this is about. It makes it real. People forget that we have a scourge going on in this country. People forget that, there's people's sons, daughters, parents who are afflicted by this disease. And when you, Sid Rosenberg, have a pulpit where you speak for a broad spectrum of people, the Jewish community, we can go on, but the addiction and recovery community you speak for, you unabashedly speak about that. And it makes it a lot easier for somebody, a family member who's sitting there and feels shame and guilt. It makes it a little easier for them to pick up the phone for help for their loved one, or somebody that's troubled and is in the throes of addiction. We make it a little easier for them. Hey, when Darryl said that, baseball and all the other stuff that he did and the troubles he had brought him to a place where God said, okay, you ready? I got a job for you. And I believe the same thing for me. I was saved. I was lucky. I stayed alive. And then I surrendered, and God said, hey, Bobby, I got a job for you. I feel the same way about you, Sid. I mean, you've had your trials and tribulations, okay? But here you are now. You're the best Sid that you can be, and you're a great voice for everybody, including the addiction.
Oh, thank you, Bobby. Bobby, God, I love you. How long are you sober now, Bob?
Coming up February, I'll have 23 years.
Wow, that is huge. And, you're such a nice guy. Everybody loves you. I see the way the folks at Mainstream House come up to you. You're a rock inside that community. But, you talk about people having the courage to make a call. And it really is unfortunate that there are so many ignorant and stupid people out there. I had a friend once who said to me one day, he said, you know, you're a real lowlife. It's a true story. I said, what do you mean? He said, you walk around telling people you've got a disease. He said, my mother had cancer. She lost 80 pounds. She withered away and died. She didn't drink. She didn't do drugs. She never said a bad word about a person. She had a disease. You have a weakness, and you want to use excuses. And I said, listen, I'm not comparing what I've got to what your mother had. God rest her soul. I'm not. And certainly I am accountable. For my actions. But you're ignorant. You're just being ignorant. It is 1,000% a disease. If it was so easy, then a lot of the folks that signed my big book back in Florida in 1995 wouldn't be dead today. Is that fair to say, Bobby?
Oh, absolutely. And this gentleman that you know should get on his knees right away and thank God that he hasn't been afflicted. And thank God no one close to him has been afflicted. And it is ignorance. But we get a chance. Everybody knew I was using. Okay? I don't care who knows I'm in recovery today. And you obviously don't. And neither does like a Larry Kudlow or Dallas Strawberry. And through that, saying, hey, recovery can happen. That breaks down the walls of stigma. It shatters that wall of ignorance. And we don't know where those mustard seeds will land, but as long as we talk about our recovery, Sid, that mustard seed will land someplace, and it may germinate. And that's
and if you save one life, I mean, right, you save one life. And I know that the story, I guess, that we cover the most in terms of news stories on this show is the open border. And we talk about the Venezuelans, me and Curtis, who come here and rape and kill. And we talk about, Eric Adams offering jobs and money. But the worst part of the open border is the drugs that are coming in day in and day out. The fentanyl, you know about this.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
There's drugs coming from China. And then these cartels in Mexico. It's they're making money all types of ways, through human trafficking, from drug trafficking, and we can go on and on. And it's a shame. And no one is screaming about the 110, 120,000 people that die every year for these drugs coming across.
Do you think, Bobby, with that said, and look, you're a product of the 60s, and I'm going to go see my mother next week up in Bethel. They're right there, 1 mile away from Yazgo Farm.
She's a rock star, your mom, by the way.
Thank you. Do you think, with all those years and all the drug issues in this country, that when you combine what you just talked about, the open border, the fentanyl coming in, that this is the worst it's ever been?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Worse than the crack scourge, worse than that, because that's a slow death. This is an immediate death with the fentanyl. And, I was listening to a friend years back, and he said, Bobby, they say they don't care about, all the population they're killing. And he says, look at the borders. They're being supplanted by, people that that's going to be beholden to them. And I thought about it. I said, that's the far out there conspiracy. But when you look at it, he may not be wrong.
So Mainstream House, for folks that don't know the business, it's not a halfway house where I spend time in both Warnersville, Pennsylvania, Reading, Pennsylvania, Chit Chat Farms, and in Boca Raton. It is more of a recovery center. You give me exactly what you do on a daily basis at Mainstream House.
Well, we the men and women have to do something positive during the day. We have managers that come in the morning, afternoon, and night, and make sure everybody's engaged with something positive. And they have to go, when they get here, have to go to 90 meetings in 90 days.
Right, the old 90 and 90, right.
Yep, and have a sponsor. And from there, we do random drug testing. Somebody uses, we get them out, and we help them get connected with some kind of stabilization. We built a great culture here where we have a slow rate of relapse. So when somebody new comes in, it's like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So that person has a good fighting chance to stay clean. And we have some good numbers with that. There's a lot of services here, a lot of meetings here, and I'm talking service from town, county, state, and federal. And it's just a great place. God brought me back home because I went to a sober home in Boca Raton myself, and then I had to come back about a year and a half later and came back to my hometown, Riverhead. And it just happened to unfold that it was a great spot, just an amazing spot. So we asked for a formal commitment, but we have people staying here for several years, putting together new lives and then moving on. And like I said, when you have that many people doing the right thing around you, you have no choice but to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does help.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
So that's what we're about.
Yep. So on the way out, Bobby, and again, I can't wait to see you later on tonight. You the most. I love Darryl Strawberry too, but you're the guy that does this stuff every day, devoted your life to saving our brothers and sisters. I can't say enough. So for folks who want to learn more about Mainstream House, what's the easiest way to do it?
Probably the easiest way. For some reason, I got to call my web guy. My website is down, and I'm befuddled right now. So I got to call him, but they can call us direct, 631-384-9754. Leave a message, and I will return your phone call. Again, 631-384-9754. And Sid, you're going to get a big hug from me tonight, brother.
I can't wait. You're a great man, Bobby, seriously, and I appreciate everything you do, again, for our brothers and sisters in recovery. The summers are the worst time of year. This is everybody's out all night. They're partying all night.
You just got here. Welcome to the Hamptons, buddy. We're at the gateway to the Hamptons. I call my town Riverhampton. And I just want to tell you, I want to wish you and Danielle a happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is coming up tomorrow. 32 years. Bobby Hartmann, you're a god. I love you so much. We will see you out there with Darryl Strawberry later on tonight. Have fun on the links. We'll see you later, buddy. Thank you.
Love you, Buff.
Love you, too. Bobby Hartmann right there, Mainstream House, and they're giving me a huge honor tonight. The year of honors continues. This is not Israel. This is not the cops. This is recovery. And certainly Israel, the cops, all this success would not be possible if I wasn't sober. And for a lot of you folks that followed my career back to my early days with Lou and Bernard and the Imus crew, it was rough. It was really rough. There were many examples of me not showing up for work or me going to some party in Atlantic City. Thank God, I found my way. But people like Bobby Hartmann, you cannot say enough about these people. So, folks, if you are struggling this morning, if you just woke up, you haven't gone to sleep yet, look up Mainstream House. There is hope. I'm telling you, man, I never thought in a million years I'd be worth anything. My daughter was 1 when she came to visit me in rehab for the first time. I thought I was finished. But where there's God and where there's meetings and where there's places like Mainstream House, there is hope. And anybody, and I mean anybody, if I did it, anybody can do it. You can turn your life around. Let me take a quick break. We'll get the news from Noah. We've got a big hour number 2 about to come your way. Big hour number 2. We're going to go live to Israel and talk to Alex Traiman coming up at 7:45. And, of course, the man. What a day yesterday for Curtis Sliwa between Marine Park, the Rockaways, Junior's Cheesecake. We got a great segment coming up with Curtis Sliwa. Hour number 2 about to come your way.
Strawberry fields forever.
Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
Hey, Alan, I came down to Brooklyn. This is my birthplace. To have your slice of cheesecake. But more importantly, to give you some advice. I understand you want to run as a moderate Republican to be mayor. Great. I welcome you in to the gladiator pit. But, number one, you're not a blue-collar guy. You live in a very affluent area of Westchester. We already have Eric Adams claiming he's a blue-collar mayor in a $5,000 customized suit. Then you say you want to be the hospitality mayor. We already got one. The nightlife mayor. To the break of dawn. We don't need you partying to the break of dawn. And then you said the craziest thing. I'm sure that Eric Adams is doing the best that he can. That would be your opponent. Why would you be running? He's destroying the city. What is your campaign theme going to be? Like Marie Antoinette? Let them eat cheesecake?
Start moving. Got to get me there.
Curtis, that is a great video. Yeah, and I want to remind folks from the Rockaway area, today is the one-year commemoration of Ava Conklin. Ava was killed when a driver fell asleep. She was sitting at a bus stop on 108 in Rockaway outside the Walgreens, same name and age as my daughter. Today's the one-year commemoration. Her father, Matt Conklin, will join us for the first time coming up at 9:45, and I plan to go visit the family at the bus stop and the Rockaway Hotel before I head out to Riverhead, Long Island for the big golf tournament and meeting Darryl Strawberry. Also, a shout-out, I was told from one of the cast members of Jailhouse Jerky Crew that we got a huge fan who listens every day. I must give him a shout-out. His name is Joe Galizia. His girlfriend's name is Paloma. And they bought these MAGA bars and handed them out. They're huge Donald Trump and Sid Rosenberg fans, Joe Galizia and his girlfriend Paloma. And his sister Stephanie Galizia is being operated on as we are speaking. So, Joe, the best to your sister Stephanie. Paige loves you, too. So thank you so much for listening every day. But it is that time, folks. He's so great. He's on every day. He gets an extra hour after me today for Brian Kilmeade. Gets big ratings on the Rip and Read, noon every weekday afternoon. Big ratings hosting overnight weekends. And, of course, with me every day. That's Curtis Sliwa, who I guess after the big car caravan in Brooklyn must have gone to Junior's in Brooklyn. And he pointed out that the owner of Junior's, who's going to join me this morning, he'll be on at 10:15, Alan Rosen, said he's going to run for mayor as a moderate Republican. And Curtis makes this video. And all those three things that you pointed out seem to be fair. The one that annoyed me the most is the third and final one, which I hear every time, and I'm tired of hearing it. Eric is doing the best he can. Hey, folks, if he was doing the best he can on a weekend where we had stabbings and shootings and all kinds of issues in New York City, he wouldn't have been in the Hamptons like I was, which he does all the time. So I thought your video, Curtis, was fair.
Yes, he was getting wine-dined and pocket-lined, Eric Adams, by many of those who claim to be your friends, white Jews out in the Hamptons, for his legal defense fund, because he will be indicted soon, and believe it or not, the chutzpah for his re-election fund. Notice, he goes to the Hamptons to do that. He gives a speech, and all of your peeps say, oh, he's so wonderful, like, who was Lizzie Savetsky?
Yeah.
Oh, he's so wonderful. Well, we're going to get to that momentarily.
Well, I was in the Hamptons, too, this weekend.
I know, but let me tell you something. I warned you, I said, you'll never get back in time for our car caravan to shut down Floyd Bennett Field, the migrant camp, the tents, because the Swedish House Mafia is at the Shinnecock Reservation that weekend.
I know, but you guys were all wrong. Believe it or not, it took me and Danielle only 91 minutes Saturday morning from my door in Queens to Hampton Bays, and coming back yesterday, 87 minutes. So the traffic was not bad. It wasn't about the traffic.
Whoa. Did Michael Sullivan take you on his speedboat from the Rockaways all the way out to the Mauritius?
No. The beauty about where I was, Hampton Bays, is that's the first one, right after Riverhead. I wasn't going to like West Hampton or Southampton or Sag Harbor, so it wasn't all that bad. But I am curious, was there a big turnout at the car caravan in Brooklyn yesterday?
Outstanding. But before I get to that, I understand that because of the blazing heat, you were forced to go inside because you were starting to schwitz all over your ensemble. Oh, my God. And when you see Sid in his Instagram, he's lost. The Hamptons have taken him forever. He'll never hit Plum Beach or the Irish Riviera again.
That one picture of me and Danielle posing in front of the flowers, where she's wearing this beautiful dress, and I've got the white jeans, the blue knit top, and that red and white jacket. It almost looks like we belong there.
Yeah, but you're on a pedestal that's circling round and round.
That was the 360 thing. That was not cool.
Nancy said to me he's never coming back. That's it.
No, I'm coming back. Unlike my daughter, who I'm so proud of, Ava, who was bat mitzvahed. You know, back here when she was living here, we gave her the choice. Do you want a bat mitzvah or a sweet 16? Ava chose the sweet 16. She went back to Israel for the second time in 4 months this week for her birthright. She was bat mitzvahed yesterday. She was praying at the Wailing or Western Wall this morning and has already told me and Danielle she's never coming back. She wants to move to Israel when she's done with college in Europe. Me and Danielle, we knew we were coming back.
All right, this is what you have to do. You have to visit the Yentas in New Howard Beach for the weekly tarot card reading. And because you experienced a little bit of that because you had to go inside, it was so hot, all you need to know is what do the cards have in store for you and your zodiac sign. So you don't need to know the difference between a 3-card and a Celtic cross spread. All you need to tell the Yentas is your sun sign, and they'll do the rest.
That's it. I know Danielle, for example, is a Libra, and I'm an Aries. Does that mean, is that good? Is that bad? Do you know anything about this stuff?
I'm an Aries.
Oh, God, of course you are.
Aries go through the wall. They don't go over it, under it, around it. We go through the wall many times to our demise or potential demise, but we are like bulls with the matador.
What is your birthday exactly? What day?
March 26th.
You're March 26th. On the last day, it becomes a Taurus that night, April the 19th. So, talking about going through the walls, and Maria, your sister, did a tremendous job of promoting this all week last week, emails, and I was getting messages from Big Mark Oranger in Brooklyn to the whole Keith Kantrowitz crew about going out there yesterday. So I have to think you had I know it was hot, but I got to think you had a very big crowd in Marine Park.
But before we get to that, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn Hospital is where I was birthed on
Brooklyn
March 26th.
Hospital. Yes, okay.
1954. You know where that is? Right across from Junior's, the old Brooklyn Hospital, right there near LIU. I was birthed there, and Dr. Duckman smacked me on my tuchus, my dupa, and I've been speaking ever since. I was 13 pounds at birth.
Oh, my God, you were big.
My mother, a little one, as you know, Francesca, everybody said when they went to look at the babies, that can't be your baby, because when you're that heavy at birth, your eyes are slanted. When my dad came from the ship to visit his wife, obviously, my mother, Francesca, in the hospital, he went into the infirmary. He looked at me. He goes, "That's not our son. That's a Chinese baby." You must have swapped our son for a Chinese baby.
That's funny.
So I have roots, Alan Rosen, right there across from Junior's. So after coming back from Marine Park, and I'll get to that momentarily, great car caravan to shut down Floyd Bennett Field. I sat down, I had a nice slice of cheesecake. I waited a month of Sundays. You know, the waiters and waitresses, they need to scrape the barnacles off their backside, get their rear end gear. Yeah. Notice I brought you a little cheesecake here from Junior's.
I do love Junior's cheesecake. I love it.
By the way, I was brought up on Italian cheesecake. It's light. This is the Sinkers.
Can I ask you a question? There you are sitting in the man's restaurant.
Yes.
You're there.
Calling him out.
Yeah, you can see the menu. You can see the cheesecake. You can see the red, which is the decor in the background.
Been there many times before.
And you're just beating the living daylights out of the guy.
Had to. The guy, his opening salvo to run for mayor as a Republican is, I'm a blue-collar guy. Please stop this. It didn't work for Eric Adams and his $5,000 customized suits.
Of course it worked for Eric Adams. He got elected.
Yeah, but now, come on. Nobody buys this blue-collar thing.
It also worked for AOC. She claimed to be blue-collar Bronx. She's Yorkville wealthy.
Where was Curtis Sliwa this weekend? And where was Eric Adams, the Hamptons? That's not a blue-collar hotspot.
I agree with you.
All weekend while this city is falling into the abyss, getting wine, dine, and pocket line by mostly white Jews. Your friends. Oh, we love you. We love you. You say such nice things. Lizzie Savetsky.
I am reaching out to my friend Minaj Shapiro. And I'm going to ask Minaj to quit the Eric Adams administration.
Good.
Minaj is a good person, a really good person. He's a proud Jew. He spends most of his days defending Eric in the campaign when it really has become indefensible. I know he's listening right now.
I got a spot for him in my administration.
There you go.
Okay?
I am compelling Minaj Shapiro, get out. It ain't working. The administration is not working. Nobody's buying it anymore.
Whoa.
Parents are getting beaten up. Yeah, kids are getting beaten up.
One question, though. When I sit down to interview Minaj, because like others, he'll be jumping ship. I'm saying, Minash, why do you order brown mustard instead of French's yellow mustard? What is it with you Jews that you won't have yellow mustard? Why is it only the Gentiles who get the yellow mustard? No. And you Jews always have the brown mustard.
I'll get the yellow mustard. In fact, I was just at Mill Basin Deli a couple of weeks ago to see Frank and Paul with Danielle and the kids. We got the yellow mustard. But the brown mustard's better.
You haven't gone the whole 9 yards. You still cheat on your Jewishness. By the way, I have a surprise for Alan Rosen. It's going to be like Lurch, the Addams Family who rings the bell.
Oh, you walked in, you said to Curtis, he said, it was just. He went out to get breakfast as he does this time every morning.
He didn't get me my cut.
No, I guess he didn't.
I'm going to give him a beatdown. Oh, my God.
No, he has it now. Here you go.
Here we go.
Yeah. You walked in, you said to Curtis, he said, there's our next mayor.
Next mayor is right. Everybody's got to vote for Curtis Sliwa for next mayor because this mayor is a joke.
That's Larry Kudlow.
That's Chuck Zito.
Chuck Zito.
Who lives in New Rochelle, Alan Rosen, not far from your very exclusive mansion in Westchester. Chuck wants to have a cup of coffee with you and discuss this mayoral run of yours in a Republican primary. You don't mind me having Chuck pay him a visit?
Well, I'm not sure we're at that stage just yet.
Hey.
He has not officially announced, Rosen, he's running yet.
No, I know, but hey, I just want to warm him up a little bit.
I would think maybe after hearing this segment, which he will hear, and then coming on with me in about 3 hours, he may decide that making Reuben sandwiches and cheesecake is enough.
Yeah, well, by the way, you got to ride the subways, too. You got to know what's going on in the city.
He claims he does all that.
The blue-collar guy. Yeah, sure. Where does he live? Scarsdale in Westchester? Where?
You are so funny. I can't believe that you didn't like Trump all these years. You're exactly like him. You'll eviscerate anybody. Your team, the other team.
Damn right.
It doesn't. Guys who are loyal to you. It doesn't matter. If they get in your way. For example, I played in the Open this morning, Andrew Cuomo. He was on with Bill Maher.
Oh.
He was defending Donald Trump.
Oh.
He's a kindred spirit guy now because Letitia James went after him like James and Bragg are going after Trump.
Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo. Remember the ventilators, Trump, where the ventilators when he was governor. Meantime, there's a warehouse in New Jersey filled with ventilators that the state of New York, us, the sucker taxpayers purchased. And Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo didn't even know they were there.
So you're not going to give Cuomo credit for coming to the right side? He seemed to have figured things out?
No. Are you kidding? This guy is a chameleon, a total chameleon. But let's get back to the rally, the car caravan from Marine Park through all the streets of Brooklyn, Marine Park, Mill Basin, then down Flatbush Avenue, then into Floyd Bennett Field, where all the illegal aliens, the Venezuelans, were having a party there.
They were.
Nobody else was there. Normally, that would have been a place that families went on weekends. The place used to be packed. There'd be kites, there'd be hot air balloons.
So from the
drones,
camp, too, from the Aviator Day camp.
Everything. None. So nobody's there.
So you stopped there. You didn't go to the Queen side, right?
Oh, yeah. After we went to Floyd Bennett Field and we let the parkies there, the federal rangers, know we're closing this baby down because it ain't right for the migrants. It's a floodplain. The rats that must be going into those tents, they got the sanitation training ground over there. I mean, these rats, you can saddle up and ride into the sunset. So, we're telling, hey, we're going to close you down. And then we go over and pay tribute to your area, the Irish River area, over the Gil Hodges Bridge. Down through the ponds at Rockaway, we made the circle. People were outside. They were coming out into the streets, applauding. Yay!
Yeah.
There were 200 cars and motorcycles in this car caravan.
You had 200?
200!
That's a very, very nice. Of course they came out. They love you. You're a hero.
Really? We got to give credit to all those people in the Brooklyn Civics that organized this.
Is that Jamie Williams?
Jamie Williams, great job, Assemblywoman. She's been endorsed by the Republicans, the Conservatives, and the Democrats. She's the fusion candidate. But all the people who are part of Civics take no political stances. They represent Democrats, Republican, Independents. There's Brenda, there's Ron, and so many others out there. They put this all together. And they're putting the pressure on Eric Adams, who is out in the Hamptons. Eric, when are you going to come to Floyd Bennett Field and see the disaster you created? Or down on Hall Street in Clinton Hall. Clinton Hill, where I was with 4,500 single, able-bodied young men of military age with nothing to do and nowhere to go. Garbage everywhere. Rats dancing the horror and the tarantella. And where was Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan? Once again, out in the Hamptons. Maybe he was watching the Swedish House Mafia with all those sucker white people that he used to call crackers. Oh, we're going to write you a check. Hey, are you Jewish? Yeah. Well, we know your checks won't bounce. We love Jews. But you won't protect Jews. You won't protect them at PS 682 in Gravesend. A Jewish family got their ass kicked by Arabs, and it's not a hate crime. What's wrong with you, you bastard? Hey, where's Gonzalez, Eric Gonzalez, the DA? Where's the NYPD? But most importantly, where are you, Eric Adams? That was a hate crime. But, oh, what a half-stepper. Oh, the people shouldn't do that. Hey, can I have your checks? Can I have your checks? Please, my legal defense fund when I get indicted. Checks, Jews, checks don't bounce. Meantime, when Jews are under attack, you do ugats. You do bumpkins! But Sid, Dove Hiking, Curtis Sliwa, and yes, Ron Tarosian, who used to be your very best friend, introduced you to Club Zero Bond. We're coming after you, Eric, because you're all talk and you don't do the walk.
Baby, again, I got to keep on walking. Hey, I got to walk on. Please let me tell you, y'all, I'm so tired, but I can't lose my stride.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Entertaining and informative.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
So I got a message this morning from my friend Mark Healy. By the way, two great guests already, Bobby Hartmann, Curtis Sliwa, with a slew of great guests still to come. Alex Traiman, live from Jerusalem, coming up momentarily. John Catsimatidis, Roger Stone, Ina Vernikov, Matt Conklin, and the man that Curtis was just talking about. He owns Junior's Cheesecake. He's running for mayor, Alan Rosen. But Healy, you know Healy Lewis, great baseball guy, great sports guy, but for years now has been running the local newspaper in Rockaway, The Wave. You know, a really good job with that. And he says, last night I found out my Aunt Eileen LaRufa from Bensonhurst died. She was a great lady, did a lot of work for Marty Golden. You remember Marty, the Brooklyn Borough president? Did a lot of work for the senator. I forget now. I think he was the borough president. Did a lot of work for Marty Golden over the years. Big Trump supporter as well. So our hearts go out today to Mark Healy, losing his Aunt Eileen LaRufa from Bensonhurst. And also a shout out to my friend Joe. You know, there are so many people that we enjoy between Brooklyn and Queens and the city, and so many restaurants we enjoy. And there's a bunch of Italian places we love. You know that. Michael's in Brooklyn, La Sorrentina in my neighborhood, Rocco's in my neighborhood. But we really also love Lenny's, celebrating 50 years in Howard Beach. In fact, they had a big party last month. I think Joe Causey, the great Joe Causey, was the host. They're doing another party in August. And we went there for dinner on Friday, me, Danielle, and Gabe, and saw Joe. He is a super guy, too, the owner of Lenny's. Do you know Joe over at Lenny's?
Yes, met him a couple of times. He's a super guy.
And he loves this show.
And he
loves it.
There all the time.
Yeah, he's always there. Yeah. No, he's a great guy, and that is a great restaurant.
Great place.
Yeah. So a shout out to Joe. We got to take a break because we're going to go live to Jerusalem. A lot of news. It is getting very, very hairy there in the north. I'm actually happy my daughter Ava's trip is over Wednesday because every day it's getting worse. And every day the tensions between the United States and Israel grow. And every day Israel loses a friend, not from their own fault, just a bunch of disgusting anti-Semitic Jew haters across the world. So we'll talk to Alex Traiman live in Jerusalem coming up momentarily.
77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
You know, Benjamin Netanyahu gets the honor of being invited to address Congress in a joint session on July 24th. That's what it's scheduled for. We'll see if that happens or not. What's your reaction to that and the attempt by certain members of Congress to immunize Netanyahu from being even investigated for potential war crimes?
Yeah. Again, this is rhetoric and support that's so unwarranted by Benjamin Netanyahu. If you want to support Israel and the people from Israel, you do it by not supporting Netanyahu. I can tell you that. I mean, this guy basically is their Trump, except, he's doing this to stay out of jail. That's the only way he can continue. He has to continue all this to not be thrown in jail for crimes that he's already being investigated on. But what he's done has been crimes against humanity. I mean, killing that many people, this collective punishment, the children, the women who've been killed at Gaza.
Says who, Fatso?
The fact that he doesn't support the priorities of the U.S. I think a lot of us are figuring out what to do. I think there's going to be a big block of us that don't go and probably doing something alternative to get that message across. But I'll tell you, I'm still open if the international courts decide they're going to put out an arrest warrant. I'm available. I may have a better chance of serving him than others because this guy really has done war crimes. And we need to say that vocally because I think my goal is I want people in Israel to know we support people of Israel. We support people of Palestine.
We don't care what you think.
We want peace in the region. We think a two-state solution is the best.
I think you're an asshole.
Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas don't represent any of the values I just mentioned. And, we need to send that signal that he does not just manipulate Congress for whatever he wants. And I think that's what we're working on.
Yes, the same kind of story seems to come down.
This is Mick Fleetwood right here, right?
Yeah, it's Fleetwood Mac. It's a different, an earlier incarnation.
Before the Christine McVie, Stevie Nicks singing days.
Yeah,
Mick Fleetwood.
Mark Welch, Fleetwood Mac.
Mark Welch. And Mick Fleetwood is celebrating a birthday today, Lewis.
77.
That's he is one of the all-time greats. Mick Fleetwood, 77 years old today, one of the all-time greats. So that was a podcast. Some ass stain in Wisconsin had this big, fat, stupid congressman named Mark Pocan. Never heard of the guy, but he's a jerk-off congressman out of Wisconsin who wants to go arrest Bibi when Bibi comes here in July, if it happens, because I believe it was Anthony D'Esposito or Lawler. Somebody told us last week it may not happen. But if it does happen, he wants to go arrest Netanyahu. This is a United States congressman. And what did he say so you know what his true colors are? He said, quote, Netanyahu is their Trump. So you know right off the bat, any similarities, any comparisons that are being made between Netanyahu and Trump, and they are very similar, is going to aggravate these congressmen, these senators, because it's all political. This guy Pocan's not Jewish, doesn't know what's going on in Israel, doesn't care. All he knows is Bibi is like Trump, therefore Bibi is no good. So my friend Alex Traiman, who's the CEO of JNS.org, that is the only place you should get your information on Israel. He does an amazing job. He's on with me often. Is here with me again. But Alex, let me read this. Well, first, let me get your response. Listening to that Wisconsin congressman talking about how he'd like to be the one to arrest Bibi when he comes to Washington D.C.
Well, how long do you have? I mean, there were so many things that he made in those statements that were wrong. They'd have to be broken apart one by one. But you could see the same way that they treat Trump by criminalizing every move that he makes. It's not that Trump is that Netanyahu is Israel's Trump. It's that liberals want to treat Netanyahu the same way that they treat Donald Trump.
But they are similar in that they're both tough, they're both resolute, they're both under investigation, but they both go about their jobs as if they weren't. And they were very, very close friends, of course, until Bibi came out and publicly made a video supporting Biden. That may change. If Trump wins, I think I'll repair that relationship between Trump and Bibi. But they are very similar in their approach and how they govern, no?
Yes, but there's also key differences because, Trump came from outside of the political system, essentially was a populist type of candidate, which basically because people were not confident in the system, not with Republicans nor with Democrats. That's how a guy like Trump comes from outside the system, swoops in and grabs the presidency of the United States. Netanyahu comes from within the governing body of the state of Israel for many years, and he's been Israel's longest-serving prime minister. And also, Netanyahu is very careful with what he says, always very calculated, almost too calculated to an extent, whereby Trump, as an individual, doesn't really have a filter, right? So they operate it in different ways, but they've been grouped together in part because both of them have been put under criminal investigation where the charges are flimsy at best, and because they push conservative policies, so that the liberals they clump them together.
Let's stop it right here. That was a great job, Alex. Comparing them and contrasting them, Bibi and Trump. I got to get to this tweet. Alex Traiman tweeted something the other day that has now been retweeted. You ready for this? Over 1 million times. Over 1 million. And what he said was right on the money. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, go back to Jerusalem. The CEO of JNS.org, Alex Traiman, is standing by where it's getting very, very scary in the northern part of Israel. More with Alex right after this.
I remember a talk about North Carolina in a strange, strange part. You see, the sides were like glass in the thick of a forest without a road. And if any man's hand ever made that land, then I think it would have showed. That's why it seems like rain. They got me hypnotized. And I know that's right.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
Let me get to this tweet that Alex put out a couple of days ago that's doing really well. It reads like this. This is when momentum shifted in the war, when photos began to surface of Hamas terrorists and their supporters being arrested, blindfolded, and stripped into their underwear. I knew the end of the war, including the release of hostages, was just weeks away. Yet almost just as quickly, the images stopped appearing, with the Biden administration claiming the images were, quote-unquote, disturbing. These images were actually benevolent and could have saved thousands of lives. Why? If you want to survive in the Middle East, it is critical to understand the Arab culture of honor versus shame. These images completely humiliated Hamas. To destroy Hamas and to make the Palestinians stop supporting them, they need to be thoroughly humiliated by the IDF. The IDF's killing Hamas terrorists in the eyes of Palestinian society is projected as an honor. Those killed are martyrs. To defeat Hamas, Israel needs to create less martyrs and create more losers. In preventing the IDF from publishing the photos and by Israel's adhering to the Biden administration's Western sensitivities and directives, the war has dragged on to the detriment of all parties. And there's a picture here of a bunch of guys blindfolded in their underwear, which for me was as good as porn, to be honest, but pissed off the United States. Thus, to your point, Alex, we've got a longer war. Did you tell me over 1 million retweets? Is he there, Alex? Hello, Alex.
Yeah, I'm here. It's well over 1 million views and many thousands of retweets and likes and tons of engagements. But yeah, I think that people don't realize that by adhering to a lot of the directives of the U.S., that more people are dead inside Gaza, more Israeli soldiers are dead, and the war has taken a lot longer. You know, we saw that with these photos. We saw that with the Al-Shifa hospital, where we know now for a fact that hostages were kept but were moved from there before Israel went in because the United States didn't want them to go into that hospital, and they had to telegraph that attack. And it took more than a week for them to go in because they were waiting for a green light, so to speak. And the same thing in Rafah, where we're finding tunnels and weapons every day, but the United States didn't want Israel to go in, and so Israel delayed that incursion by weeks. So this war is just dragging on and on and on, and more people are dying because Israel's not going fast and furious, and because Hamas sees that the international community, including the United States, is putting all the pressure on Israel. If they would feel that the pressure was going on them, on Hamas, and Israel had all the backing, this war probably would have been over a lot faster.
Agreed. My dear friend, the Congressman Anthony D'Esposito, sends me a text. July 24th has been confirmed. It's at 2 p.m. Netanyahu will speak in the House of the People's House in Congress. In fact, the Speaker of the House was with D'Esposito at a big event for Anthony last night here on Long Island. And Johnson said as recent as yesterday, anyone who disrupts or protests anything on the floor will be arrested as per House rules. So if AOC or Tlaib or Omar, any one of these lowlives tries to do something, Mike Johnson said it ain't going to happen. But, for months, I've told you this since day one, Bibi never liked Barack Obama. I don't think he ever liked Joe Biden, but he was saying the right things. But we kept talking every week, and I would say, I'm telling you, man, it's bubbling. He's mad. And now Bibi he doesn't care anymore. He comes out and does videos where he says, listen, the United States and Joe Biden are stabbing us in the back. Were you surprised to see Bibi come out that straightforward? And if you weren't, were you happy he did that?
Well, he said specifically that the Biden administration was slowing down the flow of weapons to Israel. At first, the U.S. administration said they didn't know what he was talking about, but now it's come out. They're saying, yeah, well, in the beginning of the war, we were fast-tracking weapons, and now we're not doing that anymore. And then we also know that the U.S. held up a delivery of 2,000-pound bombs.
Oh, can I ask you why? Because, again, going back to Anthony D'Esposito and me getting kicked out of the State of the Union because I stood up and I screamed at the President of the United States, says who, when he was delivering numbers from the Palestinian Ministry of Health, the Hamas Ministry of Health, as if those were real numbers. Are you telling me the United States has stopped all these deliveries because they're believing those numbers, which actually come from terrorists?
I don't think that that's what it is. I think that for the U.S. administration, that these weapons is the pain point for Israel, and that's the great leverage that they have. So if Israel plays along, then they can get what they want. And if Israel doesn't play along with what America wants, then they say, hey, well, you don't play along, but you're not going to get the weapons from us. And what's interesting with these 2,000-pound bombs is that the reasons they gave, they said that they didn't want Israel to use them in Rafah. But Israel hasn't been using heavy weapons in Rafah. And Israel could have committed to say, hey, we're not using these in Rafah. What they need these weapons for is the impending war against Hezbollah in the north. And so when the U.S. is not replenishing weapons, which can include missile defense systems, the Tamir interceptors that you use in the Iron Dome, and other ammunition, they're basically trying to prevent Israel from going to war with Hezbollah. But that sends a signal of this is sending a very bad signal of weakness to Hezbollah. And I think that Nasrallah is laughing, thinking that Israel doesn't have enough weapons and thinking that the United States is slamming the brakes on Israel's incursion, which just gives Hezbollah the permission to keep firing at Israel with very, very little repercussion.
Forget about Hezbollah. Forget about Hamas. It all leads back to the same place. The same enemy country that Joe Biden has spent 2 administrations working with. Money, loosening sanctions, Iran. That's it. Forget about Hezbollah. They're just a leg of the Iranians who want to destroy Israel every day. Now I'm reading that more and more people are looking to join, Iranian-backed people are looking to join Hezbollah. I saw last week that they said, we haven't even started yet. We haven't even used our good stuff yet. And by the way, it's coming. Israel is in for a real reckoning. And I know that every day it's getting worse and worse, and they still haven't used any of their really good stuff yet. That's all terrifying, no?
Yeah, it's very terrifying, and Israel knows they have to deal with it, but at the same time, they know that if they do deal with it, that the home front's going to experience something that it really has never experienced before. Certainly nothing that Hamas has done to Israel is anything like the capabilities that Hezbollah has. And it's a scary thought, because now the people are going to have to be diving into bomb shelters, could be there for extended time, could be without electricity. The soldiers have been fighting in Gaza now for 8 months. Many of them are tired, and to think that they're going to now have to go into a much more intensive war phase in the north, that's a difficult situation, and to think that Israel doesn't have the weaponry that it needs is even much more scary situation, and that's the signals that are being sent right now. So, Netanyahu is trying to put on a strong show. He was on Israel's Channel 14 last night, and he seemed calm, he seemed confident and strong, but Israelis have doubts about what this next phase could look like and when it might be.
And my daughter's there now. She's been there for the last 9 days. I know you heard me earlier, Alex. We gave her the choice. Would you rather be bar mitzvah or sweet 16? And we're not a very religious family, so she took what most American girls take. She took the sweet 16. And since we've gone to Israel, I think she would have made a different choice years ago. But the beauty is she's on this birthright trip right now. And yesterday she received her bat mitzvah. Today, she's actually at the Western Wall, and she's having the time of her life. She told me and Danielle, Alex, when I'm done with college in Europe, I want to move to Israel. You wouldn't know from Ava's pictures and videos that she is literally right in the middle between what's going on in the south, Judea and Samaria, and the north. She's right in the middle of the most dangerous war zone in the world.
Yeah, it's first of all Mazal Tov on the bat mitzvah. That's very special.
Thank you.
And we need all the prayers. So the fact that she's at the Western Wall now praying, hopefully for peace in this country. This is a nation of people that want peace, that seek peace, that would be willing to give up things that are dear to them to get peace in return. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, you're right. Iran and its terror proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthis have made this small tract of land.
Alex, have you ever seen, talking about the Houthis, have you ever seen a terrorist group, this is amazing, a terrorist group make a music video? That is the mockery they're making of Israel, and that is the confidence they've got today. Did you see that music video?
I didn't see the music video.
Yeah.
I got to check that one out.
Yeah, and in the video, they're talking about not just Israel, but all the countries, European countries, United States, that they plan on attacking and destroying along the way. And again, like I said moments ago, it all goes back to Iran, which we know time and time again has been supported by Joe Biden.
Yeah, and who else have they been supported by? By the Chinese, by the Russians. So you have the Biden administration, the Russians, the Chinese, North Koreans, all supporting Iran. What does that tell you? And Iran is the number one state sponsor of terror around the world, and they say openly, death to Israel, death to America. They call Israel the little Satan. They call America the big Satan. And this is who the Americans think is the party that they should be standing behind in the Middle East, as opposed to their ally, which is the state of Israel. And but we have to see. America just said, the Biden administration said that if there's a war with Hezbollah, that their back will be behind Israel, that they will stand with Israel. We saw that there was a lot of missile defense assistance when Iran attacked us. I think that they are committed to missile defense to protect the Israeli home front. But you get the feeling that the Biden administration is happy for Israel to be fighting a war, but never really wants them to win.
Last 30 seconds. When, in fact, the North becomes the go-to, which is happening, it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. What about the amount of soldiers that you guys have? I know you'll take some soldiers out of the South that are battling Hamas in Gaza right now, but will Israel institute a draft? How do you make sure you've got enough men fighting a war that will about to take place on 3 fronts and a big one up north?
Israel will move its troops out of the Gaza Strip, and the Gaza Strip is sealed. So there's not a threat to the Israeli home front at this point anymore from Gaza. So even if they took 100% of their troops out of Gaza, which might not be a great strategy for Gaza, but if that's what they need to do to go to the north, that's what they'll do. On October 7th, Israel called up 300,000 troops, which includes many reservists. Most of Israeli civilians that served in the army until the age of about 45 are in the reserve, so they'll get called back. And so you might have as many as 350,000 troops for a potential operation inside Lebanon. But it's going to be a very different operation than we saw in Gaza, because they're going to have to go very fast and very furious to take out as much of the missiles that Hezbollah has at their disposal to fire, because there's no time, and there's also much less missile defense to deal with these types of weapons and these quantities of weapons. They can overrun some of the Israeli missile defense systems, so they're going to have to go in very strong with everything that they have and try to achieve a victory in very short order, because they just don't have the time to absorb all the blows.
Wow. Hey, listen, man, as always, excellent appearance. And you, Tzippi, and your lovely family, please stay safe. And we talk every day anyway, but we'll get you back on the show very, very soon. Great appearance. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Sid.
My man, Alex Traiman right there, the wonderful CEO, the only place to get your news from Israel, the only place, trust me, is jns.org. Make sure you subscribe today. That's 2 hours in the book. We got 3 more to go. Big 8 o'clock hour coming up. My man Roger Stone is going to be here. Break down that big debate coming up on Thursday night. Trump and Biden, baby. Here we go. Eye of the tiger, Donnie. Eye of the tiger. And coming up next, Mr. at Apple himself, my main man, John Catsimatidis. Cats and Stone. Keep it right here.
Crazy makes me see you more clearly. Oh, baby, now I can see you. Wish I could stop, switch up the clock, make it all happen for you. I'm alive. I'm so alive. I'm alive. I'm so
Entertaining and informative.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
The summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song, and then we strolled that golden sand.
Two sweethearts, and the summer wind. Frank Sinatra, my song. You should do this at all my family events, bar mitzvahs, and weddings. The summer wind. We know Katz loves Frank Sinatra. Katz just sent me an article from the Post about all these low-life Democrats. People like, I don't know, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, that guy from Wisconsin, Coben, that are considering not coming when Netanyahu speaks in front of Congress. And I'm going to say, good, we don't want you there, and I'll take your seat anyway. So, anyway, John does an amazing job. He's got 2 shows on this station, 5 p.m. every weekday. It's the Katz and Cosby Show alongside Rita Cosby. And then, of course, that Sunday morning show is a can't miss, and that is 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings. 2 great shows, 6 days a week. My man John Catsimatidis, who, like me, was in the Hamptons this weekend. I'm never in the Hamptons. It was my first time there in years. I think the last time I was there, I was at a wedding at Gurney's in Montauk about 4 years ago. John and Margot are always in the Hamptons. They've got a lovely house in Southampton. So, John, how was your Hamptons weekend?
Well, it was a beautiful weekend. The sun was shining on, well, at least on most of the day Saturday. And Sunday, yeah, we had some sun. But look, you had a great dinner Saturday night. I had a great dinner. We went to Zach's place, 75 Main. It's the hottest place in the Hamptons. And look, you know what the weekends are for sometimes? Just to unwind.
Yeah. But you know,
I like to unwind.
But you say unwind, but to your credit, you say unwind, but you do a lot of cool things. For example, I'm not sure if you're doing it again this summer, but I remember last summer, John, you would have these breakfasts, these brunches, and I remember Bill O'Reilly spoke and politicians would speak. Are you having those again this summer?
Yes, we had the first breakfast this Saturday morning at the Capri, and Father Alex was there. I was there, and Bruce Mosler. And we didn't have any special speakers. We spoke between ourselves, and we did have a big controversial discussion about the world going forward on November 5th. And it was very interesting. I gave my point of view. Bruce Mosler gave his point of view. And it's about, you know what it's about? Keeping the free world free.
Yeah.
It's not easy. The rest of the free world depends on the United States of America to keep it free. Europe is not capable of taking care of themselves. A lot of the Asian countries, Australia, New Zealand, all the other, they're not capable of taking care of themselves. They all depend on the United States of America to keep them free. And if we turn our military into a woke culture military, where there has been some attempts to do that in certain departments, well, guess what? If we are not capable of keeping the free world free, there is no free world, Sid.
No, I agree. And I had those discussions, John, with 2 servicemen in particular. One on the Army's birthday. Remember that day, John? It was Friday, June 14th. It was also Flag Day and Trump's birthday. And that is the famous attorney. He's your friend, too, who's representing Daniel Penny, Thomas Kniff. And then the following Monday, I had Thomas Sullivan, who's running for Assembly in Queens. Both very brave, courageous men who served our country. And I talked about this effort to make the military woke. And we seem to have forgotten, John, that if God forbid, one day, China, or maybe even China and Russia together want to go into war with the United States, we're going to be in trouble. That's the bottom line, and I don't think everyday folks realize that.
Well, the evil empire, I forget what they used to call it on the James Bond movies. They're aligning themselves right now. Putin has aligned himself with China. Putin has aligned himself with North Korea. So you have North Korea, Russia, China. You have Iran, who is doing a lot of things. They are trying to create a war in the Middle East area between Lebanon, the Houthis, and Palestine, and it's just. And they got the Red Sea is closed. The Red Sea and the Suez Canal is closed. Last week they sunk a Greek vessel with Russian coal on it. What does that mean? I guess the Greek that was providing the vessel, who has no insurance on it, felt he was safe because he was carrying Russian coal.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not.
Yeah. I saw that story. You know, one story that also surfaced last week, I know you and Margot, who I love too. I love you both so much, John. You guys only a couple of weeks removed from going to Greece, back to your homeland, but a story that surfaced last week talked about two things. First, the economy really having its issues in Greece, but secondly, in the last month, seven Americans have gone missing or turned up dead. Now, a few of those turned out went on hikes, and I guess the weather is very, very hot. But there seems to be some concern about safety in Greece. Any thoughts on that?
No, I've heard it's mostly going hiking in the middle of nowhere sometimes, and it's 108 degrees weather.
Right.
You don't do stupid things like that. I heard it was 90% that.
Okay.
You got 10 million people. Once in a while, you are going to have a problem. But safety in Greece is pretty safe.
Okay.
The one item that I was upset about in Greece is that the government wants to give $2 billion to Ukraine. You know, that bottomless pit. And I agree about supporting the Ukraine, but Greece has the second worst economy in the European community, I've been told. And there's a lot of Greek poor that need that $2 billion. I'd rather give that $2 billion to the Greek poor people than give it to the Ukraine.
Well, but let me ask you a question. You said
let Germany and France support the Ukraine.
You're up to it. So, but you said you're in support of giving Ukraine aid. And I don't want to get in trouble with your friend Peter King. I've been fighting with Peter for months about this. You know how I feel? It's ridiculous. We've given them way too much. I don't trust Zelensky. I don't trust that country. I don't think Putin has shown that he can take over anything or do anything militarily well. I think it's become a joke. I really do. How much further do you want to go with this?
I agree with you 110%. I think that the reason for the Bitcoins being at $70,000 is because of crooked foreign ministers that take money that we give them and buy Bitcoins out of it.
Right.
I mean, but the other philosophy is that instead of the United States fighting Russia, let the Ukrainians go and kill themselves and fight Russia, and it benefits us.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in killing. I don't believe, remember what Eisenhower said. Do you remember what Eisenhower said? Beware of the, what was it? Oh, my God. The industrial, the revolution. War industrial complex. It's right. Like that.
Right.
And you know what it is? All the people advocating war, a lot of them are making $1 zillion on selling missiles and bullets.
A ton of money. Well, let me ask you about
money.
Right. Let me ask you about money because, the Biden administration keeps talking about Bidenomics, how it's working, and again, at the risk of being repetitive, we know that inflation is still way too high. It's about 3%, but it's like 9%, right?
It's making the poor Americans and middle class poorer.
Right, and you know about interest.
Crazy.
You know interest rates as well as anybody. You're involved in the real estate business. They are also way too high. You own Christie's and D'Agostino's. You know what it costs these days to buy eggs and bread, even at your level, at the not at the retail level. So you tell me how bad, John Catsimatidis, is this economy?
The economy, the America wants to stay above it. But it's taking care of the poor people and middle-class people poorer. They're paying twice as much for gasoline. They're paying 30-40% above what they used to pay for on food. They can't buy new houses because interest rates are at 7%. Inflation hurts. Now, the last question before we go off, you should ask me, who's going to be the next vice president under President Trump?
I was just about to ask you that. The rumor is that whoever that person is going to be sitting by Trump on Thursday night at the debate. I really think, and I bet on this, it's going to be Doug Burgum. But you actually talk with the president. You've had dinner with the president since his convictions. Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, listen, that's 3 weeks ago. I mean, a lot of things happened in 3 weeks. That's old news.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of people that like to do old news, but we do. We had Doug Burnham on the Cats and Cosby show on Friday in the studio.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. What'd he say? He's got it?
No, he didn't say it, but I'm going to tell you my opinion. I think he's got it.
Me too.
He's got $1 billion in the bank, personally. He's very wealthy. He's very smart. He speaks very sharply. I think he is the vice presidential material. And, look, me and Trump go back 45 years, and I know Trump. I think he's going to pick Doug Burnham, my opinion.
I agree with you. He's also not a guy that really needs a spotlight. He's kind of quiet, but like you said, you're very similar, you and Burgum. You're both very, very bright, both very, very successful. Trump wants that guy without the guy looking among the camera all the time. Once again, folks, Cats and Cosby, 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon. The Cats Round Table, 8 a.m. every Sunday. This was a great appearance. John Catsimatidis, I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Keep America free. And the only way to do it, the only one that is brave enough to stand up is, in my opinion, is President Trump.
You know, I share that same opinion, John. Thank you so much. John Catsimatidis. Check him out, 5 o'clock this afternoon and every week afternoon alongside Rita Cosby. We're going to take a short break. What a show today, huh, folks? Bobby Hartmann, Curtis Sliwa, John Catsimatidis, Alex Traiman. Not even close to being done. In the 10 o'clock hour, we're going to talk to a man that owns Junior's Cheesecake in Brooklyn. Now he wants to run for mayor. Alan Rosen. In the 9 o'clock hour, Ina Vernikov in Brooklyn on this horrible attack by the Palestinians on innocent Jews at an elementary school. My friend Matt Conklin today, very sad day in my neighborhood. We lost Ava Conklin 1 year ago today. We'll talk to Matt. And coming up next, we'll dive deep into Thursday night's big debate between Trump and Biden with Donald Trump's one of his closest friends, his confidant, Roger Stone. Keep it right here. Stone is coming up.
Through nights that never end, my fickle friend, the summer wind. The summer wind.
Oi! This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
Tonight, we'll refer to him as Sleepy Joe. Because right now, as you know, it's been reported that right now Crooked Joe's gone to a log cabin to study, prepare. No, he didn't. He's sleeping now. Because they want to get him good and strong. So a little before debate time, he gets a shot in the ass. And that's... they want to strengthen him up. So he comes out. He'll come out. I say he'll come out all jacked up, right? All jacked up. Now, will anybody be watching the debate on Thursday night? I'm sure.
I'll bring the chips and the dips and root.
I'm sorry, it is cool to hear Trump say, "No, shoot him in the ass." He's right. He's going to come out all jacked up on Thursday, and expectations were so low that as long as he stands for 90 minutes and doesn't fall or, call out a dead person in the crowd or literally turn the other way, away from the camera, then all the networks will claim what a huge win for Biden, So that'll be fun. I mean, every night this week I've got something great, really. Tonight I'm honored. Me and Darryl Strawberry together, Mainstream House, Bobby Hartmann, Riverhead. That's a huge honor. Tomorrow I celebrate my 32nd wedding anniversary with my gorgeous wife, Danielle. You know where we got engaged? You'll like this, Lou. Because I imagine you've been there. Maybe not. It's in Brooklyn. It's on Nostrand Avenue, I think Avenue S. We got engaged at a pub, Buckley's. Have you been to Buckley's with MJ?
No.
Oh, it's a great place.
I know the area.
It's a great place. It's not far from Michael's restaurant. But we got engaged at Buckley's, and tomorrow we celebrate 32 years. Wednesday night, Gabriel's second season, new season, first game, St. Francis Summer Classics, thanks to all those guys, Bird and Bugsy, love Bugsy, and Flip Mullen, all the guys that made this possible and offered me the opportunity to coach my son, which is a big deal. But I got a bunch of big kids on this team. These are 9th to 12th graders. Some of these kids are going to play college basketball. I got some guys who play on AAU teams and, Savarian players, and I got some serious dudes.
Is this game one?
This is game one.
Oh, this is crazy.
Crazy. I got my son, Gaby. He's only a freshman, and his little friend, Willie Jimenez, I call him Burf. He's also a freshman. But I had to explain to both of those kids that playing time is going to be tough because I got a lot of 12th graders on this team, 11th graders. Real big boys, 6'4", 6'5".
Oof.
I got a young kid who's my assistant coach who's also comes from a fine family in the Rockaways, the Moran family, Ryan Moran, and I want to win. So it's going to be fun. That's Wednesday night, and then Thursday night you get the debate. Wow. That's 4 great nights. 4 wild and crazy nights.
The Subway Series is going on.
Tuesday and Wednesday we got Mets-Yankees. Very good. No, Lewis.
That's okay. Hey, thanks.
No, I did that. And then, the week comes to an end, and I'm going to work 2 days next week, and then I'm going away. That's it. Got to go see moms up in the mountains. So, just so you guys know, to prepare yourselves, and you'll be fine. They'll use Curtis or John or somebody great. But I am going to do 5 days this week, 2 days next week, and then I'll see you on the 8th. Monday is a bit of a tough day because that's July 1st. And this Monday, July 1st, marks 4 years to the day that I lost my father. So, with all that said...
Oh, that's going to be rough.
That's going to be rough. We're going to talk to Roger Stone about this debate coming up next.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
For my friends.
77 WABC.
We'll be in your show plenty because you have a great show and you have big ratings, Sid. I don't even know if you know how good your show is, okay? But you have big ratings and you have a great show and you've been my friend for a long time and I appreciate it.
Happy birthday right here to Mick Fleetwood, this great group, Fleetwood Mac. Mick Fleetwood, 77 years old today. And, of course, that was my friend President Trump, who's getting ready for the big showdown Thursday night, the very first time ever a sitting president goes up against a former president in a debate. And Roger Stone, let me tell you, I love this guy. He's on every Sunday on this station. He does a great show. Now, full disclosure, he's very close with Trump, very close. They talk all the time. They're good buddies. So when I bring Roger on this show, you are getting some real inside information. So with the debate just a couple of days away, no better time than to bring on my friend Roger Stone. Roger, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Sid, great to be with you, as always.
Nice to have you, too, Roger. You always do a terrific job. Your show Sundays as well. It's terrific. So Trump debate coming up 3 nights. Right now, I think he's put the sentencing behind him. That's not till July the 11th. Even the RNC convention, not till July the 15th. I get the feeling he's already picked his vice president. I think it's Burgum, but we'll see. And right now, he's really concentrating on a big win on Thursday night. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, it's amazing that Donald Trump, I mean, the man is the king of show business. Let's review this. I've selected my vice president. I haven't told him yet. I can't tell you yet. He'll be at the debate. Hang on, you'll find out who it's going to be. The guy's a genius. I mean, he's a genius.
Yes.
By the way, he could change his mind 3 times between now and the time he announces it.
It's true.
He understands how to keep all focus on his campaign. And I'm telling you, the guy is a brawler, and he cannot wait to get into the ring with this buffoon who's pretending to be our current president.
Agreed. He had a couple of huge rallies this weekend, too, Trump. A big one in Pennsylvania on Saturday night. So, we know the rules of this debate on Thursday, Roger Stone. 90 minutes is going to be 2 breaks. They cannot speak when the other one is speaking. They're actually going to mute the microphone when one is speaking. If you remember back in 2020, there were a couple of incidents when they were actually talking over each other and Biden told them to shut up and all that nonsense. That can't happen this time around. When you look at the rules put together by CNN, that's a home game for Biden, by the moderators, who of course include fake Tapper and Dana Bash, also better for Biden. When you look at the rules, though, people are saying Trump should be the one who does better here. What are your thoughts?
Well, the expectation level for President Trump is very high. Let's face it, he's a champion debater. He vanquished 16 more experienced Republican politicians to become the nominee. I think this malarkey with the microphones inhibits Trump's debate style. People don't want to hear one guy stand up and give a canned statement, then the other guy stands up and gives a canned statement, then the other guy stands up and gives a canned statement. People want to see them mix it up. Politics is a contact sport in this country, always has been. That's why they've rigged this. And as far as Jake the fake Tapper, Dana Bash, her husband, huge Biden donor, by the way, and Joe, I say that's 3-on-1 as far as Trump is concerned, and I think he'll beat all 3 of them.
He did every other time, but according to Biden beat him twice a couple of years ago. I want to take a short break, Roger, because I want to give you ample time to start the 9 o'clock hour, talk more about this debate on Thursday. Some other Trump stuff as well, folks. This is the great Roger Stone, has a big show on Sundays. I'll be back. More Trump with Roger Stone right after this.
Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
Damn right there's a misunderstanding. Roger Stone back with me. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories that my listeners are sending me. One goes, they shoot Biden up with a hot shot and blame Trump when Biden collapses. One person says Trump should come out in the debate stage and pull the plug and ask Joe Biden what he would do without him, now that he's made him the first convicted felon to run and very likely win the first history debate sitting president versus a former president, Biden being the worst. So a lot of conspiracy theories leading up to this big event Thursday, Roger. But we know this. We know that Donald Trump was out at rallies all weekend long and big ones and working. And today, again, he's going to be in New Orleans with our mutual friend Steve Scalise campaigning again while Joe Biden has been holed up for days at Camp David, quote unquote, studying.
Yeah, the extent to which this is an attempted setup is pretty outrageous. So Dana Bash, for example, she's the moderator. She insists that she can be impartial. Did you know that her husband, Jeremy Bash, he's one of the 51 intelligence experts, used to work for John Brennan, who signed the letter claiming that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation.
Yes.
Perfect example. But Trump doesn't, the man is fearless. He's absolutely fearless. This is the most important presidential debate since Nixon versus Kennedy. It's the first presidential debate to ever take place before either one of these men is actually legally the nominee of their party. And Trump is completely unfazed. He doesn't care what the rules are. He's going to run on his record. We know how this is going to go. Doddering Joe's going to say, you're a convicted felon, January 6th. You want to take away every woman's right to an abortion. That's not true. And you're going to cut our Social Security. But under Donald Trump, we had the most robust economy in our history, record job creation, record wage growth, peace and prosperity. And we were not stabbing our ally Israel in the back in the Middle East. I think Trump goes in with the perfect backdrop to decimate this guy. And if I were Trump, I would start by looking in the camera and saying, Joe, you looked in the camera in our last debate. You told us that you nor any member of your family ever took a penny from any foreign country, and that was a lie. Why should anybody believe anything you have to say tonight?
Well, I think Biden will return with lie. You're going to call me a liar? At least I'm not a convicted felon. And I'd be careful with that Hunter Biden stuff because, that hasn't been proven yet. I believe it's true. You believe it's true. But that hasn't been proven yet. If I were Trump, I would not start there. You're much smarter than me, Roger. Don't get me wrong. But I would look in the camera and say this to all the Americans watching this in our beautiful country. Can any of you, and I mean any of you, stand up right now and say your life is better now after the last 3.5 years under Joe Biden's rule than it was with me? See, that resonates. Now, Americans, even the ones that hate Trump, they may not be honest, but the truth is that's where Trump wins this debate because, as you pointed out, the economy was robust. African Americans never did better. Latinos never did better. So if I'm Trump, I go right there. This country, this world was better under me. That's where I'd start.
It's obviously stealing a page from Ronald Reagan, but I can't disagree with you. The average American sees, these doctored employment numbers, these doctored inflation numbers. The great Barry Habib, one of the smartest economists I know, expert on housing and mortgaging. I hear he's not well. I hope he's doing better. A great, great guy. I've seen him rip these numbers apart. People know how much a gallon of gasoline is costing them. People know when you go to the grocery store, your dollar just doesn't go as far as it did. People know there is no affordable housing. Doesn't matter whether you're trying to buy or whether you're trying to rent. This guy is the worst president in American history. And if all Trump does is compare his record of peace and prosperity with the chaos that surrounds Joe Biden, you're right. I think that's a winner.
That's a win. Hey, Roger, I want your thoughts on this. I just had John Catsimatidis. I know you love John on the show moments ago, and John just a couple of weeks ago dined with Trump. In fact, it was the night after Trump received all those guilty verdicts, and we both agreed, John and I, that Trump has picked Doug Burgum as his vice president. Do you have any gut feeling as to whether or not it'll be Burgum or somebody else?
I like Doug Burgum a lot. I went to the Collier County Lincoln Reagan Day dinner where both he and I were speaking. I was very, very impressed. Like Trump, a self-made man, tough-minded guy. I think he'd be a great candidate. But I also know Donald Trump. He's the master of the tease. And he said some time ago that he already picked his candidate. Remember that? And then we didn't hear anything more about it. Yeah. So I think he understands this story has maximum public impact, and I suspect in the end he's really going to wait till just before the convention. He's going to keep teasing us. So what did he say? this person's going to be at the debate. Well, what if J.D. Vance is also at the debate?
Right.
Or what if Marco Rubio is also at the debate?
Right.
Or what if Tulsi Gabbard is also at the debate? There's only one person who knows, and that person isn't saying. Donald Trump is the master of the tease, and it just ensures that even more people will turn into this incredible debate. This has never happened in history before.
No. Do you think
have we had debates this early?
No, I know. It's very early. Like you said, neither man has gone to the convention yet. What do you think about people like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Tom Cotton? Those are not names you've been hearing. You've been hearing Vance, Rubio, Burgum, Scott, Stefanik. What about names like those two in particular, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Tom Cotton?
Well, I think they do throw some names out there as decoys, in all honesty. Some people who may be vice president someday, but not now. I'd love to see Elise Stefanik, by the way. I think
Me too.
She's another brawler. I mean, the way she has gone after some of these corrupt judges in New York with formal complaints when they've tried to stick it to Donald Trump has been very courageous. But we're not going to know until he actually announces it. In 2016, I can tell you, Sid, he changed his mind 3 times at the last minute. Anybody who doesn't get new information and change their mind, well, they're not too smart. And one thing Trump is very smart. So I think he's going to draw this out. Burgum would be fine with me. Look, I'm not endorsing any candidate. I'm for whoever Donald Trump is for. But I think that the names that are most currently floating out there, the ones you just mentioned, it's going to be one of those. Some of these other names I really think are thrown out there to give them a little lift in the party, help their future, but I'm not sure, for example, that Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas, is really under consideration.
Gotcha, Roger. As always, that's an excellent appearance. Let's talk again maybe Friday or certainly Monday after the debate. I want to get your thoughts on what you think, how Trump does. So thank you for stopping by today. Enjoy the week. We'll talk again very soon, buddy. Thank you so much.
Sid, honored to be with you. People are going to be slapping me 5 all day just because I was on your show.
I appreciate that, Roger. Thank you. That's my man, Roger Stone. Does a great show here every Sunday and a great guest on this show, too. My man, Roger Stone. Thank you. We'll take a break. We'll get the news at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Then we'll go to Brooklyn, Gravesend. Oh, not for my TV show, which I've already filmed 2 episodes of. No, for Ina Vernikov. Talk about this Jewish family that was literally pummeled, beaten up by a Palestinian family. When is a hate crime, and the rest of the ugliness going on in and around New York the last couple of months. Ina Vernikov. Then we'll talk to Matt Conklin later in the 9 o'clock hour. 1 year ago today, his beautiful 20-year-old daughter, Ava Conklin, was tragically killed by an out-of-control driver in our neighborhood in Rockaway. Today's the 1 year commemoration. We're going to talk to Matt about his beautiful daughter, Ava. All that coming up. 9 o'clock hour is next.
Must be some kind of mistake. I was waiting in the rain for hours. You were late. Since then I've been running around trying to find you. I went to the place.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
Brown at 9:19 on your Monday morning. So I cut a video yesterday from the gym. My buddy Sean Cerone's Burn Fitness. It's a great song, though. In the video, I was angry again. I'm not an angry guy, but not by any stretch. But you know, I'm aggravated with the police a little, but more with the mayor and his people. That's why the police don't do what they want to do. That they haven't designated this crime, this animal Palestinian family that punched out a nice Jewish family. at a fifth grade graduation in Brooklyn. They haven't yet determined whether or not it's a hate crime. Are you nuts? Of course it is. Gary Marcus, I know you're listening. It's a hate crime. But they're afraid to do it, to designate these things because of the mayor and the politicians and all the nonsense that goes on in this city. I'm still angry they haven't found that guy who was on the train asking Jewish people to stand up, Zionists. They've got his picture on Jew Hate Database for a week. I'm angry at the mayor. I don't think he does nearly enough. He says nice things. He goes to press conferences, but they do nothing to stop this nonsense. And there's never a severe penalty. Ina Vernikov, I'm never angry at. She's a great politician there in Brooklyn, one of my best friends in the business. Ina, good Monday morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sid. I'm angry too. Not at you.
Right. Well, that's good.
At the failed leadership in our city. Look, what happened with the fight at the graduation, it's really not surprising at all because it's just a culmination of the complete and utter failure of the DOE to handle this crisis of anti-Semitism. And by the way, they have a lot of other issues. But right now, this is a very, very pressing issue for the Jewish community. And they have failed the Jewish people, the Jewish community of New York City. And this is being done under the watch of our mayor. And like you said, and I totally agree, and I know many, many Jewish New Yorkers who agree with you. There is a lot of nice things being said, but there's not much being done.
Right, and don't forget, the mayor was the guy that picked this creep, this louse Banks. Banks is a creep. Banks is the guy, you remember this. He was the guy that was okay giving classes to teach kids about jihadists. Here in New York, jihadists, he's the same creep, and he's the same guy that will never, ever, ever make this Palestinian family pay any repercussions, and Adams picked him. So if you don't like Banks, and you shouldn't, you got to go back to the guy that picked him. That's the mayor.
This guy goes in front of Congress. They were questioning him about anti-Semitism at the DOE, a major issue. They know it. He comes very well prepared. He gets mostly softball questions, with the exception of Congresswoman Stefanik and Brandon Williams. He gets softball questions. The New York Times declares a victory for him. He says he's got this anti-Semitism problem handled. It's under control. Yes, there's a few instances here and there, but it's mostly overblown by Republicans. And meanwhile, Jewish teachers are actively being pushed out of the DOE of public schools for years. What happened in Hillcrest High School, where we had an anti-Semitic riot? Where is the principal? Still on the DOE payroll. Oh, we fired him, we removed him. No, you didn't. He's still on your payroll. Sheepshead Bay, Origins High School. The two whistleblowers that have been talking about anti-Semitism for 2 years, what happened to them? They have been retaliated against. They're being moved. All their complaints ignored. In fact, complaints made against them for calling out the anti-Semitism. The DOE chancellor takes principals to the Nova exhibit to witness what happened on October 7th, the massacre, rape, and murder of Jewish innocent civilians. And what does he do the next day? He goes to an anti-Semitic mosque with an imam who is actively advocating October 7th, who is pro-Jewish genocide, who is anti-Israel. Why? Because the chancellor is a politician who is more afraid of the bad guys than he is of the good guys. That's what's happening, and nothing's being done about it.
A lot of people since October the 7th have stepped up, and people, and I admit my ignorance, I didn't know how they felt before October the 7th, and many people feel that way about me. And you're one of the people I'm really most proud of, and proud to be a friend of, above and beyond the politics, and I see you at events and those types of things. I mean, whether it's the Israeli Day Parade, you were out there, the time when Donald Trump called you up on stage at Cipriani's, you're wearing this beautiful dress with the Israeli flag, every event in Brooklyn that takes place to defend Jewish people, you're there. So you wear your heart on your sleeve for your constituents in Brooklyn. And I wonder, because I live on the other side, I'm in Queens, You mentioned the thing in Sheepshead Bay. There was this other issue in Brooklyn, which is not your district, I don't believe, your area. How bad is it getting in your area in terms of anti-Semitism and crimes?
It's getting really bad. It's been going that way for many years. You know, I've been banging the drum on this. People weren't paying attention. They are now after October 7th. But really, people who support and donate money to the politicians in charge really need to take a strong stance against those that are doing this, because they are in charge and they have the chutzpah to come out to the public, to the press, and tell us that everything is okay, that we support you and we condemn anti-Semitism. We condemn. But where is the action? And the people the Jewish community that is supporting the politicians that could potentially change this need to be more loud, need to stand up and speak up, make their voices heard, because we can't just keep sucking up to the people that are responsible for this, okay?
I feel like the Republicans, and I know that I'm biased. I am biased. I was a young man in Brooklyn. I liked Ed Koch. I even liked Bill Clinton. I would have categorized myself as a Democrat, even though, to be honest, I didn't pay much attention to politics. My whole life was sports. I did sports talk radio for 15 years, but I never hated the Democrats. Now I literally despise Democrats. I'm willing to stop talking to people who are Democrats. I hate them. And it seems like every issue with a politician is a Democrat. I'm not hearing a lot of Republican leaders in Brooklyn or the 5 towns that have issues with Israel. It's all Democrats. Is that not the case, even by you?
Look, let's be fair. There are some on the hard right who are staunchly against Israel. And, you know, we saw a couple of days ago, right, AOC and Nick Fuentes sometimes have the same opinions. And Nick even tried to say, hey, OC, we're on the same page about this. We need to call out politicians on the right and the left that are anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. But, of course, the anti-Israel rhetoric mainly comes from the Democratic Party and the hard left of the Democratic Party. Thankfully, we still have friends like Richie Torres, but they are few too many. And I think that's the answer. We need to vote Republican. And a lot of Jews, unfortunately, are still Democrat. They're still poisoned by that, but by the old narrative that we need to vote Democrat. But that needs to change.
No, it's changing. I know it is changing. I see polls all the time. Trump is doing better with Jewish people, but most people still seem to think that Biden will command over 60% of the Jewish vote. And lastly, while Richie Torres is great with Israel, God bless him, I appreciate that. Josh Gottheimer, the same way. Markowitz down in Florida. I like candidates that love Israel and America. And I can't say that about Richie or the rest of the Democrats. It's great that Richie loves Israel, but he makes so many decisions every day that are bad for this country. That's the difference. There are Democrats that are pro-Israel, but we need people that are pro-Israel and pro-America. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And what I'm concerned about most as well is right now we have these old school Democrats who still support Israel and who still love America. What's going to happen when these protesters that we see in the streets become lawyers and politicians and go to Congress? I'm really concerned about that. And, the shift that could possibly take place in 10, 20 years from now. And I'm really concerned for the future of this city and this country.
As you should be, but thank God we've got people like you, Ina. Like I said moments ago, I'm so proud of you, proud to be your friend. You do great work in Brooklyn, you really do, and you're a proud voice for not just the Jewish people, but New York and America. Keep up the good work, Ina Vernikov. Thank you for stopping by today. We love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. There she is, Ina Vernikov, and one of the real good ones. We've got her. We've got, I love Vicky Palladino. I love Vicky. She's in Queens, of course. And I don't want to leave anybody's name out that I don't love and respect, but those two come to mind right away, Vicky and Ina. They do such a great job. I do know that today is a big day here on Sid and Friends in the morning and on WABC because obviously we spend a lot of time talking about the economy. I had that discussion with John Catsimatidis just this morning about inflation, about interest rates, We bring on people like Larry Kudlow, Monica Crowley, Ron Insana, Charlie Gasparino. We pay attention to what's going on, and certainly the Dow Jones plays a very, very big part in how we, I guess, a barometer, if you will, for the economy. So with that said, it is 9:30. It is time now, Noam, for the opening bell.
That's right, Sydney. This is the WABC opening bell report. The business week gets off to a relatively slow start with no notable economic reports on today's calendar. Things will start to pick up, though, tomorrow with data on consumer confidence and the S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Let's take a look at the numbers right now. The market just opened, the Dow up 115 points. Noam Laden with the opening bell report on 77 WABC.
77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
It's a temporary lull while my board right out of my skull. Man, I'm dressing sharp and
No, I talked about this earlier, that basically I have to go today where I was on Saturday morning. Danielle and I made that trek to the Hamptons, and like I told you about 3 hours ago, with all my bitching and complaining, we had a great time. Our dear friend Jen Delandro, Mrs. Dolce Aesthetics. Yes, I get my Botox, so does Danielle. Botox, fillers, whatever you guys need. Facials, nobody better than Jen. 4 great locations, Howard Beach, Glendale, Brooklyn, and Oceanside. But above and beyond all that, the relationship started when Jen used to advertise on this show years ago. She still does. But now we become great friends, best friends, really. So we went out there and stayed at Jen's house. She's got a lovely home in Hampton Bays, really lovely. And it's, thank God, one of the first exits in the Hamptons right after Riverhead, where I'm going tonight. But the day was great. Vanessa Gordon put on a lovely event. Congratulations to Vanessa. They raised money for a very, very good cause. Teenage suicide. It was a hot day, very hot, 93 and sunny right in the middle of the party out by the pool, but gorgeous estate, very nice party. And then we went to the beach out there by Shirley, Long Island. For the better part of 3 or 4 hours, I met Jen's neighbors who love this show. Lenny is the husband. And, the wife is going to kill me because she's an even bigger fan. Now I forgot her name. Maybe it's Donna. I don't remember. And their lovely daughter. But they're great fans. I think it is Donna. And we spent time at the beach with them. And Katrina, Jen's makeup artist, ended up talking to Danielle for about 3 hours. She's terrific. And then we went to One North for a great steak. It was a great time. And we came back yesterday. And I told you that I came back yesterday and I went to the gym. And my gym, Burn Fitness, is on 105th Street, Sean Cerrone's place. And Danielle went back home to do some housework, so I was going to take the bus home. No big deal. Plus, I had to go to the drugstore, and there's a Walgreens 3 blocks away from the gym on 105th and Rockaway Beach Boulevard. So I went down to the Walgreens, and I got what I needed to get. I bought like 3 items, spent $55. I have no idea how. You talk about, the inflation and the economy. Literally 3 items, about $55. $20-something for CeraVe face moisturizer. Are you nuts? Joe Biden, Bidenomics up your ass, Bidenomics. And I was standing by the bus stop to go home, and that is the bus stop where a young girl in my community, most of you don't know who I'm talking about, but you could appreciate the horror that our family has gone through for the last year and the tragedy when a beautiful young girl who shares the same name as my daughter, Ava, and the same age, both 20, was sitting at the exact bus stop I was at yesterday when some kid fell asleep at the wheel of his car. 30-year-old Daniel Sales fell asleep, lost control, and slammed into her, took out all the seats at the bus stop, and killed Ava. And now there is a memorial there that is just absolutely beautiful. Pictures of Ava on the beach and a lot of pictures of Ava, a lot of flowers, a lot of candles. The community has really rallied around the Conklin family. And as it turns out, Matt Conklin, Ava's father, happens to be a huge fan of this show, which makes me happy. And we text each other a couple of times a week. Well, unfortunately, today is the 1-year commemoration of the death of Ava Conklin. And I know that thanks to a guy named Joe Corey, who was driving by on his bicycle yesterday, he told me that there's going to be a gathering there at the bus stop where Ava was killed and across the street at the Rockaway Hotel to honor this beautiful 20-year-old girl and the Conklin family. And I can't tell you, folks, how many times I'm on the way to the gym and I pass by that drugstore. I never met Ava. I don't know Ava. I moved to the community just, about 2 years ago. Didn't know the Conklin family. But I did see the story in the Wave, Mark Healy's paper, and I brought it up on air once, and just bringing it up once, Matt Conklin reached out to me. I know that Ava was killed in June, and it took about 6 months to bring the driver of the car into custody. I believe there was a trial set. I have to admit, I don't know what's happened since, but I do know that almost every day I go by that Walgreens, and it breaks my heart. So with that said, I'm going to take a short break, and making his debut on Sid and Friends in the morning, and in all likelihood his radio debut, the proud and courageous father of Ava, Matt Conklin, is going to call in on this 1-year commemoration.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
Entertaining and informative.
Oh, you're my best friend.
77 WABC.
Here at home, a car has hit and killed a 19-year-old woman at a bus stop in Queens. She was struck along Rockaway Beach Boulevard in Rockaway Park near 108th Street. That white SUV that hit her badly damaged. That SUV also knocked over several metal seats at that bus stop.
A large, skirt, somebody hit the brakes and then boom. By the time I looked, I saw the car on the sidewalk turn over the 2 seats for the bus stop right there and right into the pole.
We've just learned the driver who struck the 19-year-old has been taken into custody. The car went up onto the sidewalk where police say the woman was hit at a bus stop. Police say the driver remained on scene. No word yet what caused the crash.
Ava Conklin, today, 1 year to the day where that tragedy took place. By the Shade of Pale, great song, Lewis. And as I've told you many times on this show, I didn't know Ava. I've got to know her father, Matt. He listens every day. I've never met Matt. I've never spoken to Matt. Our relationship has been a lot of text messages. So I'm looking forward, actually, to speaking with Ava's courageous father right here, right now, on this Horrible day. Matt Conklin. Matt, welcome to Sid and Friends in the morning. Nice to finally hear your voice, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Sid. How are you?
I'm okay. The bigger question is, how are you?
Not gonna lie, every day is a struggle, but we're pushing through. So,
yeah,
I'm getting like a little emotional right now.
No. Listen, I couldn't even imagine. I admitted earlier this morning, Matt, that part of the reason why I was drawn to this story in the first place was your daughter and my daughter have the same name. They're the same age, and they're both beautiful young ladies. I was like, my God, I mean, this is Ava. So certainly,
it's a fabulous name.
It is a fabulous name. So before we get to what happened that day and what's going on with the case, I think today, I would hope at least, while it's very, very sad, even for me, I didn't even know Ava, and I'm broken up. I would hope today is a celebration to everybody I know in our community, Matt. Loved her. I mean, loved her. Tell me about your daughter.
Well, very special. She started off, as a baby, just singing songs, and we knew right there and then that this is something that she was passionate about, and that's what she did through grammar school. Then she went to Talented Unlimited in the city, which is a great high school. She graduated from there, but before that, she was also in a thing called Rosie's Kids, which is like Rosie's Theater Kids, and she was part of that for a very long time as well, acting and dancing and everything else. So she was very passionate about that, and then COVID hit for her junior and senior year, which kind of sucked because they weren't really limited to what they would do. They tried to put on shows and stuff, but it was like everything was Zoom.
Yeah.
And then she started work. She graduated high school and started work, and she wasn't sure what she wanted to do yet. And she started working for Park Avenue Tavern in the city. She did that for, I want to say, a year, and then mid-year she reached out to us and said, Dad, I'm thinking about going to school. And we're like, great, that's awesome. And then she chose University of Vermont, which is Lyndonville out there, and she was trying to do psychology as her major and everything like that. And then last year after the break, drove up, bring her home, and she started, she put out her, made a couple of phone calls, and her old manager from Park Avenue was actually managing at the time Margie's in the hotel, and he reached out to her, and then she started working there.
So she was working right there at the Rockaway Hotel, where I know you guys are going to meet at some point today, and I imagine you live very, very close to the hotel. But not close enough. I guess she had to take the bus from the hotel home. Is that why she was at that bus stop?
No, she was at the bus stop actually, because one of my younger daughters, they were going to take the ferry into the city. My daughter loved the city, loved Central Park, loved the West Side Highway, and I want to say it's between 57th and 59th Street on the West Side Highway. She loved this one tree where she would sit with her friends and just sit there for hours and hours and hours, and that's where they were going to go. They were going to go have a picnic with one of my younger kids. So she was getting off and she was waiting there, and my daughter was actually on the bus before all this happened. She was on her way to her. That's why Ava was sitting there.
Did the bus actually pull up to that spot after the accident?
It did, and that's how we found out. A fireman grabbed my daughter's phone and called here, and that's what. So they just said, "Hi, I'm with your daughter. Your one daughter was hit by a car," and that's all we knew. So I was like, "All right, I'll run over," and I drove over, and then we didn't know who it was at the time, and when I seen Peyton, I said, "All right, where's Ava?" And then that's when they said, "Oh, she's in the ambulance," and and everybody swore up to me that she was stable, she was fine. But I can see by just looking at her. I'm no rocket scientist, but I can see that she was hurt.
Yeah, she was hurt bad. I know Joe Corey. I just met Joe Corey for the first time yesterday. He loves you, and he's a guy that fights for all of us in our neighborhood. And he said she was hurt pretty bad. When was the first time you saw her after the accident? In the hospital?
Well, I seen her in the ambulance, which they would not let me in. I was arguing. I was asking this one old police officer from the 100 precinct, who I have no respect for him, but he like fighting me, telling me I'm not able to see my daughter, which didn't make any sense to me.
What was his excuse? What was his excuse? Of course, it makes no sense.
He was just like he kept telling me to relax, and as I'm talking to you, this is how I was talking to him. I said, all due respect, Mr. Police Officer John Smith. I said, I am calm, and it looks to me like my daughter needs me. Yeah. And he was like, "You're not getting past me. You're not getting past me. You're not getting past me." And then that's when everybody basically was like, "Oh no, she's stable. She's fine. She's fine. We'll meet at the hospital. So me saying, okay, and I looked at a CO and she did nothing. She turned her head when I asked her, "Hey, what's going?" You know what I mean? Basically brushed me off, and then which is crazy.
Well, I want to get to the 100 and how the cops treated you and what's happened with the case since. And not to make this too hurtful for you, Matt, it's the last thing I want to do. We developed a pretty good friendship over the last couple of months. But was your daughter at all conscious? Did she say anything to you before she died that day?
No. So they had her. I guess they wanted to say they sedated her in the ambulance. I guess because they had her hooked up on an oxygen machine. They had her hooked up. But I kept telling her, Daddy's here. Don't worry. I just wanted to hold the hand or whatever. Yeah. But I understand that there was a lot of people at the time in the back of the ambulance. But in the back of my head, I just wanted to be with her. And so, long story short, they sent me to Jamaica Hospital, which they never went to. They turned around, they pulled a detour, and they went to Brookdale Hospital. So by the time that I drove from one hospital to another hospital, doing 120 miles an hour. Which thank God I didn't kill anybody or myself. Right. That's when I got there, and she held on for as long as she could, and she passed before I got there.
I was talking to Joe Corey yesterday about the possibility of maybe one day opening up a trauma center. We've got nothing in our neighborhood. We're even very low on hospitals. And he said, I'm not sure what would have saved Ava's life because Ava really was beaten pretty bad. It was a bad accident. Yeah. But it could certainly help somebody along the way. So as the father of a beautiful girl who went through this tragedy, I'd imagine you're all in to get some type of trauma center in our neighborhood, yes?
Yes, anything I'm all in for changing some laws for more public safety. But yes, a trauma center, if that's what the people want and that's what everybody thinks that we need, and I'm on board.
What else would you add to that list of things that we need?
Let's see. Well, I would change the laws where, if you're posting 25 miles an hour and you're doing 40, 42, 45, whatever it is, and you hit something or kill somebody, that's in like the state of New York, that's okay. So why? And then I asked them, and I asked the people, the higher ups. Well, then why have signs that says 25 miles an hour if I can do whatever speed I want with no repercussion?
It doesn't make any sense. So
no, 0 cents. Yeah.
0 cents. So what I read, and this is where you can clear this up, and I've been talking to you for months about getting the word out about this case, is that this guy, Daniel Seals, fell asleep. He was 30 years old, fell asleep, was doing twice the speed limit when he hit Ava. So clearly he was at the very least reckless, if not murderous. And as far as I know, this accident, of course, happened a year ago today, but they never even brought this guy into custody until January. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. And I just want to correct you. It was not an accident. An accident can be avoided. You know what I mean? This was a crash. Yeah. He crashed into her. Yeah. So.
Have you met this Daniel Seals since that day?
In court, we have. The case is still going on. So
did he seem when he was in court? Did he say he's sorry? Was there any?
He just looked at us and smiled.
He smiled?
Smiled, yes. This piece of shit smiled at us.
Oh my God! Oh my God! And what about his parents? Were they there in attendance?
They were all there. Yep.
Have they voiced any
nothing? Just nothing but dirty looks.
And did they live in our neighborhood? Are they from our neighborhood?
They do.
They do. Okay.
They live in Far Rockaway. Yep.
They live in Far Rockaway. So he smiles. The parents offer zero remorse. He ends up in court 6-7 months after he literally murders your daughter. And then I had read that the trial was to start the month after in February. Whatever happened with that?
It's just going back and forth. This is like the judicial system. It's just the way they run things in the state of New York. It's no wonder that we're broke. You know what I mean? They do everything half-ass backwards, and I understand that they're on my side and like that, but sometimes I don't feel like the state of New York is on my side at all. I actually feel like I'm going up against that scumbag, his lawyer, and the New York State. You know.
Well, I know Mark Healy, where I first became aware of this was in The Wave, our local paper. Mark does a great job.
Yeah.
I don't know, and again, I've got 3 different news reports. I played 2 of them, local reports from CBS and ABC News from that day. Since then, outside of the local paper, The Wave, have you had any other support from any publications in New York, news stations, somebody saying there needs to be some type of justice for Ava?
Yeah, we've had, there's a paper in the city called West 42nd Street. I've talked to a couple of different people from The Wave, from the news, but the news person never really actually got back to me. They said, we're going to run a story, and I haven't heard from them again. But as part of, like, publication and papers and stuff like that, and the Rockaway Times,
yeah,
they've been getting back to me, and they're writing things. But other than that, like the big-time papers, like the big-time ones, the News, Post, and stuff like that, not really.
I'm surprised the Post, because the Post is a pretty good paper. I would imagine some of these people may be down by the bus stop or the Rockaway Hotel today on the 1 year. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to. I'm here. I'm available to talk to anybody. You know, there's certain things that I can't express too much, but I do have all the facts.
Now, just so I don't know if you're married, if you're divorced, who your wife is, Ava's mom. Now, who is she in this?
Now, Ava's mom, we were married and we were divorced, and we have 2 kids together, Ava and Emma. And so, Chrissy lives in the city where Ava and Emma and their brother Hudson reside, and I live in Broad Channel with my wife and kids as well.
Got it. Okay. So your other 2 children with Chrissy still live in the city?
Yes.
And how many kids you have now in our neighborhood?
I have 3.
3. And just so you know, Matt, everybody that I know in our neighborhood knows you and loves you. In fact, I was talking to somebody that you can certainly identify with, Marty Feeney. He owns Adrian's in Broad Channel where you live, and his daughter also died way too young. She was about 10 years older than Ava, but she died way too young. Beautiful girl. The restaurant is named after her. So is this part of a local support group where you guys got to know each other?
No, I grew up in Broad Channel. I'm 50 years old. I will be 51 in August, which is ironic because Ava's birthday is August 3rd and I'm August 6th.
Wow.
So Ava will turn 21 and I will turn 51.
Got it.
So she was my birthday present a very long time ago. But I've known Marty and everybody like that. Like I said, I've grown up in the town of Broad Channel, and then after 9/11, I actually moved into the city, which was supposed to be a year, but I wound up staying 10, getting married, having kids, and then I wound up moving back.
How about any local politicians, Matt? I don't know, like, for example, I know Joanne Ariola. She's a Republican. I think you're on the same page as I am with the politics. In fact, I know you are. Any local politicians, even Democrats like Meeks, anybody step up?
I don't know who that is. Who it is? Meeks?
Good.
Who? Yeah, I don't know who that is. I'm not gonna lie to you. The first person who reached out to me is a dear friend of my mother's, and it's Stacy Amato. She's friends with my mom, and she's been there.
It's funny, it's funny you say I'm not going to lie to you because I'm dear friends with Tom Sullivan, and she stole the election. Yeah. But if she helped you with your daughter, I'm okay with that. That's good.
Yeah. She like I said, she's been there since the very beginning. Joanne is here now, and I just actually got good news. So I guess I can spread the love here. We put in to get the street named after my daughter, and it passed unanimously. So
oh my God.
The next, and that's thanks to Joanne and everybody. So
wow.
After that, I don't know what the next step is, but I will let you know.
So is that 105th Street, that block right there?
108th.
108th, I'm sorry, right. The gym is on 105th, right?
Yeah.
We've had a lot of tragedy the last couple of years. We renamed 129th Street after Timothy Klein, a young firefighter, your daughter. Mm-hmm. So we've endured a lot of tragedy, but I love the fact that they're renaming the streets. Even before that, I didn't know this young lady, some young lady who was a great college basketball player, Claire Drosch.
Claire, yep.
Did you know her?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so we've endured some tragedy. Well, so give me the last thing. Where exactly are we with this case? Where are we? Just nowhere?
We're still in limbo. So we go back in July 9th, and we'll see what happens. Depending on.
Oh, but you do go back. You do go back July 9th.
Yes, I go back July 9th, and then I guess we're basically waiting on whether or not they want to go to trial or not. Everything is in their hands, basically.
Yeah. So on the way out here, Matt, and I'm going to get down there today. I only have a 90-minute time window between getting back to Rockaway and heading back out to Riverhead to be honored with Darryl Strawberry tonight. But I'm going to make my way down to the hotel for a couple of minutes just to see you.
Very good.
Of course. But in the final couple of seconds, and in case Ava is listening, I always believe they are, whether it's your daughter, my father, or other people that we've lost along the way. If she is listening, what do you want to say to your daughter this morning?
Ava, we love you, and I'm still fighting for you, and you're you will never ever be forgotten, and we've got to keep pushing until we change all the laws and stuff like that, and that we love you. Thank you, Sid.
All right, Matt. God bless you. We will fight, and I fight with you. You know that. God bless you. Matt Conklin right there, and folks, say a prayer for the Conklin family and Ava, who we lost a year ago today. We'll take a short break. I'll be back.
You said there is no reason, and the truth is plain to see. But I wander through my playing cards. Would not let her be one of 16 Vestal virgins. We're leaving for the coast. And although my eyes were open, they might just as well be closed. So as the mirror told his tale, that her face at first just ghostly turned the wider shade of pale.
This is Sid and Friends in the morning.
77 WABC.
Spotted the ocean, the head of the trail. Where are we going? So far away. Somebody told me this is the place where everything's better and everything's safe. Walk on the ocean, step on the stones. Flesh becomes water, wood becomes bone. Half an hour.
Told the Wet Sprocket, you ordinarily hear Brian Kilmeade's voice. He ain't here today, so you get an extra hour of me, lucky you, and an extra hour of Curtis. Curtis going, I guess, 11 to 1 instead of noon to 1. So you get 5 hours of Sid and 2 hours of Curtis. I made mention of this gentleman earlier. He's a huge fan, but he missed it. Let me do it again. Joe Galizia, his girlfriend Paloma, they bring MAGA bars to the set of all these TV shows, Jailhouse, Turkey Crew, and Gravesend, all the shows that I'm in. He's a big Trump guy, Joe, and his girlfriend Paloma, his sister Stephanie, having surgery this morning. I guess he was on the set of Jailhouse Jerky Crew and had the chance to meet Paul Borghese, who is also a actor and director, also produces, helps out Willie DeMeo with Gravesend, and also Renee Page, who plays Pinky. So, Joe, thank you so much for listening every day. We love all of our listeners, including Matt Conklin, who was just incredibly courageous. I don't I don't know how parents do it. I mean, I guess, you have to, right? What's the choice? He's got other children. He's got 2 other children with his first wife, Chrissy. He's got kids with his new wife. And, folks have to find a way. But I don't know how they do it. I find these people to be amazing people. Amazing people. So I'm going to try. I have 90 minutes, Lou. The ferry gets to the spot about 1:20. The car is picking me up at 3 o'clock to take me to Riverhead to be honored with Darryl Strawberry. Now, I got to change. I'm wearing sweatpants and a Puerto Rico sweatshirt. So do I have time to go over to the bus stop or Rockaway Hotel for 15 minutes, say hello, get home, change, and get in the car on the way back to basically the Hamptons?
To Riverhead.
Riverhead.
That's the end.
The end of the world.
What time do you have to be there?
Well, I'm getting picked up at 3. They've got a car. I'm going to go to bed in the car. I'm going to sleep in the car.
Are they going to pick you up at 3 o'clock?
And take me home, yeah. So that gives me 90 minutes between the time the ferry gets there to make an appearance for the Conklins, get home, probably shower because I'll sweat my balls off on the ferry, change, and then be out there for the car at 3 o'clock.
11, so you're going to get a 12-something ferry.
I'll get the 12:15. Get me there about 1:20.
1:20, okay.
I have time, right? I can do both. I can 1:20 get to the hotel by 1:30. It's right there.
You'll get there at 1:30.
Spend, let's say, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Get home in 15 minutes, and they got a full hour.
And then right, before you get picked up. Oh, you'll make it.
I'll be all right?
Yeah, you'll be great.
I'm not getting dressed up for this. Obviously, I'm not even going to wear a jacket. Just wear like a button down and pair of khakis and do my thing,
No Met jersey, no...
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't have any good Met jerseys left. Like I've got Piazza, Strawberry, Gooden, DeGrom. I don't have one modern-day player. By the way, I don't have one modern-day player for any of these teams. Any of them. Not even the Rangers. You would think this run this year, I'd have a Panarin or a Zibanejad or a Rempe. I've got nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
The run was...
I know, the run sucked anyway.
The run.
I don't have any Giants jersey since like the Sims and Taylor days. I never bought a Daniel Jones. I had a Barkley jersey, I think, but who cares about that? He's on the Eagles.
You might as well wear a Walter Tkachuk jersey out there. I mean, kidding? Or a Matteau.
No. Just don't show up in a Strawberry one, because that'd be a total geeky move.
That's so geeky. I would have done that in my WFAN days.
Right.
Yeah, but just, look who I'm here for.
Yeah, right.
I'm the fake guy with the jersey on. Yeah. Here's the real guy next to me.
Well, I'm about as dark as Darryl is these days. You know what I'm saying? I mean, God. And I'm not even, I got another hour coming up on the boat. So there's another big story that we covered today. And that is a gentleman who was on once before. Why was he on before, Justin? What was the story when Rosen was on?
He hated what was going on in the city. And it was a big deal because he's a big figure in
But
this
then
city.
I think I called him out because he wasn't tough enough on Adams, and he came on with a bit of an attitude, and I loved him after that. He did. He was like, whatever. I said, I've been listening,
Yeah.
You have to understand, I got a business. I have to placate the Republicans and Democrats. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. So I believe even in this announcement he made in the Post, he found a way to soothe Eric Adams. He's got to stop doing that. You're running against Eric Adams because he sucks. That's why you want to be mayor, because this mayor sucks. So don't feel the need to preface all your comments by, well, he's trying. He's trying. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell Rosen, that's not going to work for you. He's trying.
Nope.
He sucks.
You want to win?
Right. You got to be vicious like Trump.
Kidding? He sends one of yours to the hospital. You send one of his to the morgue.
There you go, Louis.
That's the Chicago way, and that's how you beat Adams.
You see what he did there? The Al Capone thing from Untouchables. You know when he actually fell in love with me, this guy, maybe fell in love's a bit strong, but he liked me when I said, and I mean this, that he's known for his cheesecake at Junior's, but the food is great. It's kind of like Spumoni Gardens. They're known for their pizza, Louis, but his food is great. Same thing with Junior's. Cheesecake is great, no question about it, but his food, he's got sandwiches, they're like the Carnegie Deli used to make. He's great. So we'll take a short break and come back with a guy who maybe the primary may come down to him and Curtis Sliwa, the owner of Junior's. Our friend Alan Rosen coming up next.
Walk on
77 WABC.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
Hey, Alan, I came down to Brooklyn. This is my birthplace, to have your slice of cheesecake. But more importantly, to give you some advice. I understand you want to run as a moderate Republican to be mayor. Great. I welcome you in to the gladiator pit. But, number one, you're not a blue-collar guy. You live in a very affluent area of Westchester. We already have Eric Adams claiming he's a blue-collar mayor in a $5,000 customized suit. Then you say you want to be the hospitality mayor? We already got one. The nightlife mayor, to the break of dawn. We don't need you partying to the break of dawn. And then you said the craziest thing. I'm sure that Eric Adams is doing the best that he can. That would be your opponent. Why would you be running? He's destroying the city. What is your campaign theme going to be? Like Marie Antoinette? Let them eat cheesecake?
The best part about that video, that was a video, we took the audio from Curtis Sliwa, is that he's literally sitting in Alan Rosen's restaurant. He's sitting in Junior's. He's got the red menu, the red decor behind him. He's got a big, beautiful piece of cheesecake right in front of him. He is sitting there eviscerating the restaurant's owner. But, of course, he welcomes the competition. With that said, making his second appearance on Sid and Friends in the Morning, what folks call a local treasure, Junior's Mr. Rosen. Alan, how are you, pal?
I'm great, Sid. How are you? So now I know why Curtis was here having 2 slices of cheesecake last night.
Why is that?
He might have needed 2 takes. Okay? So I thought he just came in to have dinner or to have cheesecake. I know he had 2 slices of New York style cheesecake. Listen, I don't need this acrimony. We can all get along. I don't need to bash Mayor Adams. I don't need to, I'm friendly with Curtis. I've met him a bunch of times. I'm friendly with you. You and I had a great conversation a few months ago in March about what's going on in the city. When I say someone's doing the best they can, you can read between the lines. If this city was running great, you wouldn't even be hearing from me.
No, I know that.
I'd be going about my business.
Right, and we had that conversation last time. So for you, Alan, and acrimony aside, like you just said, read between the lines. If things were going great, if you weren't worried about, what was going to happen after you closed,
life and crime, et cetera, I'd be quiet.
So, what is the biggest issue for you with the city? The biggest
city, the quality of life, the migrant situation. The lawlessness, and this is not against migrants, Sid. We all came from somewhere, but you can't come here and misbehave. The city is not the city that you and I view it to be or want it to be, and we're upset about it. And most New Yorkers feel exactly the same way.
So was there one straw, though, that broke the camel's back where you said, I'm jumping in?
There's more than one. Listen, I told you the story last time that my daughter got, attacked randomly in broad daylight about a year ago. There was a story of a youngster sitting in the back of their car in Brooklyn eating fast food. The parents, the kid got shot. There was a stabbing last night outside Trader Joe's on Avenue A and 14th Street, okay? It's out of control. And that's, they're all straws. We've all become a little desensitized to it, I think, and we go about our daily routine while reading in the paper what's going on in the city. But people are given pause to go visit the city. It's that bad. And listen, I have no real reason to do this except for the fact that I love New York.
You say it's that bad and people now are hesitant to come to the city. Have you seen a difference in your business? I think you guys are still doing well.
Well, yeah, we're doing great. I'm not listening. Nobody, and nobody's going to cry or throw a benefit for me. That's not my point. My point is, if you were thinking of taking a family here to come stay in a hotel, one, it might be more difficult to get a room because about 10 or 20% of our hotel rooms are being used up for non-visitors, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Additionally, someone like my mom who comes in from Long Island and goes to theater, used to go to theater 2 or 3 times a week, may only come in once a week now because some of her girlfriends are like, Sandy, it's dangerous out there. You can't go into the city that often. So it's giving a lot of people pause. there's homelessness in the streets. It's not so clean. People are being harassed publicly. There's a lot of crime. You read about it. It gives people pause. And we need to change the story.
So what am I missing? I work, for example, I work on 49th and 3rd. This happens to be a nice neighborhood, but I take the trains uptown, downtown, east side, west side to eventually get to Wall Street to make my way home. And I see all kinds of nastiness from people masturbating on trains, drug use in the streets. I mean, really disgusting looking people. Yet the mayor, you don't want to clobber him. I will. He comes out time and time again and says to me, Sid, that's your perception. The city's doing great. We are back. In my estimation, we're nowhere close to being back.
Sid, I've heard the mayor say many times, and I said this, not everything you say to a reporter gets printed, so I'll say it to you. Statistics are one story, reality is another, and in order to fix a problem, you got to recognize there is a problem. And this mayor has chosen to say everything's great, everything's wonderful, it's your perception or whatever, but the truth is more people are thinking like you and me than are thinking that everything's great. So you're seeing it, I'm seeing it, other people have voiced their opinions, they're seeing it. So whether the statistics say yes or no, the bottom line is quality of life in New York City has deteriorated over the past several years.
Now, your name is Alan Rosen, so I'm going to assume, and I know when you assume you tend to make an ass out of you and me, but I'm going to assume you're Jewish, yes?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so for me, above and beyond the crime and the taxes and the filth and all the groups of people that walk around the city that shouldn't, I have really become disheartened, and even worse, I'm angry. I'm ready for a fight. I really am, a physical fight in the street every time these pro-Palestinians walk the streets, and the mayor does nothing about it. Afterwards, he always has a nice thing to say, and a nice suit goes down to Nova. But I can't believe that this city can't be more proactive in stopping these people. They've gone above and beyond the freedom of speech, First Amendment rights. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are similar to yours on this one as well. People are allowed to speak their minds in a productive, calm, normalized manner, but when it becomes anti-Semitic or racist or any other group gets attacked, it's not okay. This is not the society we live in. It's not the society any of us want to live in, and it should be shut down. And the police should be refunded, both financially and morally, to be able to do their jobs and shut this stuff down.
Well, let's move along here, because you know how close I am with Curtis. He's a dear friend. One of my.
By the way, I didn't know Curtis was thinking of running again.
No, he is. He is. And
okay.
so let's assume that you're sitting on stage, and that's the primary. It comes down to two guys I like and respect, both of you gentlemen, Alan Rosen versus Curtis Sliwa. And Sliwa says, "Hey, Al, I got to tell you something, buddy, okay? I like you. I like your cheesecake. You're a nice guy. But I spent 46 years in every borough protecting New Yorkers. I know what it takes even more than the cops and Eric Adams. You make a nice cheesecake and a nice Reuben sandwich. What do you know about protecting New Yorkers? What are you going to say?"
So what I'm going to say is Curtis definitely has a lot more experience in protecting New Yorkers through his guardian angels, and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, we got to hire a police commissioner. We got to get rid of this bail reform. We got to make concrete moves to get the best people in government.
Are you ready? Well, you mentioned bail reform. Are you ready to do what Mayor Adams hasn't? He's gone to Albany. Yes, he has. But they slam the door in his face, and he comes back and does nothing. Are you ready to fight with them?
Yes, I'm ready to fight with them, because at the end of the day, Sid, I don't have any real reason to do this, except I have no further political aspirations outside of being mayor of New York City. Okay, so I can fight all I want. I don't have to appease anybody. I want to make the right decisions, as I said yesterday, the hospitality mayor for all New Yorkers, not Republicans, not Democrats, everybody. We make good, smart business decisions, as I've done in my career for 35 years. We'll do it in a mayor's office with the right leadership all around us, the smartest, best people in government, running programs, doing the right thing every day.
Have you even considered a campaign manager, these types of things yet?
No, not even that. To use a baking reference, that's totally half-baked.
Yeah.
All I was doing was trying to gauge both political and public support for a campaign. I'm using you to find out if the Republican Party can get behind me and support my candidacy.
Well, I'll give you this right now. First of all, I thought when you were on the last time you were on, which is now a couple of months ago.
March, I think late March.
And I thought then that you had some political savvy, and I have no reason to suck up to you. You're not going to make me a penny here. But I thought then you had political savvy. I would like to see you run. First of all, Curtis will be the first to admit that he needs healthy competition in the primary. I really do think you've got New York's best interests at heart. You're a very, very smart guy, and you got heart. So if you're going to gauge it on what I think, Sid Rosenberg thinks, I think you should run, yes.
Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. I know you have a very tight relationship with Curtis, and I don't have an axe to grind with him either, trust me. I just want this city better, as I'm sure he does, and I'm sure you do.
100%. I'm tired of it. I got kids who come into the city too often. I'm worried about their safety, and I need people that will stand up. The bottom line is this, Alan, on the way out here. We need a mayor that's going to stand up to the progressives, to the crazy Democrats, to Albany, to the legislation, to the President of the United States. You know, Joe Biden is he's okay dropping off thousands and thousands and thousands of illegals in states all across the country. We need somebody who's going to stand up against these people and not worry about getting indicted.
Yes. No, I'm with you. Listen, someone has to be an advocate for New York. Someone has to really day in and day out. And by the way, to what Curtis said, I don't go out late at night. I'm usually in bed by 10. I'm up early. I was in my restaurant in the city at 6 a.m. I'm in Brooklyn now. I'm coming back into the city in the next hour and a half. So I'm not a nightlife mayor. I'm more of a daytime guy, to be totally transparent. Hardworking, more blue collar than he thinks. In a T-shirt and jeans today, no suit and ties over here.
Right.
And we grind it out every day. If the dishwasher breaks at Junior's, before we call the repairman, we take a look underneath, see if we can fix it ourselves.
I love that. So on the way out here, is New York City potential mayoral candidate Alan Rosen, is New York City still the greatest city in the world?
Today?
No.
Can it be? Does it have the building blocks? Absolutely. We just need to execute on a better vision for the city. Safer, kinder, more well-run, more business-like, pro-business, very, very into law and order, cleanliness. And we have to run the show. We can't let some of the bad apples spoil the big apple.
Excellent job. I really do hope you run. And like I said, I think Curtis will welcome the competition. You sound ready. So best of luck to you, Alan. And if, in fact, you decide to run, feel free to make that official announcement right back here on this show.
You got it. And when you see Curtis this afternoon, tell him thanks for the business. I appreciate it.
He's listening right now. You got it, Al. Take care.
Right, I love him.
There he is. Junior's, which is a treasure. It really is. And the cheesecake is great, but so is the food. Alan Rosen, and I hope he does run for mayor. I do like that guy. I like Alan. We'll take a short break. More of Sid Friends in the morning right into this.
I was talking to an Eskimo. Said he was open for a fall of snow. Went up off the sea line, ready to go. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Down to Junior's farm where I wanna let go. Low life, high life, let's go. Take me down to Junior's farm. Take me down, Jimmy. Everybody's talking about the president. We all chip in for a bag of cement. Ollie Hardy should have had more sense. He put a chichi and he jumped the fence. All for the sake of a couple of fans. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Down to Junior's farm where I wanna lay low. Take me down to Junior's farm. Let's go, down to Junior's farm where I wanna lay low. Let's go, take me down to Junior's farm. Everybody tag along.
This is Sid and Friends in the Morning.
77 WABC.
Fleetwood celebrating his 77th birthday today. Fleetwood Mac. Hey, did I hear, going upstate to see my mother, the great Naomi. I made a speech on Thursday. Mike Lawler was kind enough to invite me and Danielle to the annual GOP, big bash up there. And I was a keynote speaker. And at the risk of sounding like a real dick, I was amazing. I was great. Not good, great. And I did this whole speech, and I mentioned, the regular stuff, Trump and my father. But I didn't mention my mother. A bunch of people after were like, what about Naomi? So, Mom, I know you're listening. These people adore you. So I'm going to see my mother next week, in the middle of the week, for the July 4th holiday. And I checked out the concert schedule. I know Susan Brown Otto is listening right now in the town of Bethel. My mom lives exactly 1 mile from Yasgur's farm, the original site of Woodstock, where they built this gorgeous Bethel Museum and the amphitheater. They got the best shows in the country, the best shows. And I think July 5th, is the trio of Robert Plant, Bob Dylan, and Willie Nelson.
Not so fast. No, that's not.
But Willie Nelson got sick or something.
No, that one's the 6th.
The 6th. Okay, so that's I'm going to be
Saturday.
there.
You'll be there.
I'm coming home Sunday the 7th.
You're right. Alanis Morissette is on the 5th.
Yes, Alanis is Friday night. Right. So it's Dylan, Nelson, and Plant. Right.
Right.
But I think Willie Nelson, according to Noam this morning, has like a hemorrhoids like Kevin Drosch.
He does. Very similar to that. Uh-huh.
Yes. They're called droestroids.
What's wrong with Willie Nelson? Is he sick or something?
Some sort of illness. I mean, he hasn't played a couple dates already, and he was supposed to give us an update maybe even today.
So is he not going to play?
Well, they said 4 days he was going to take off, and that was last week, so you might be fine for
Didn't we just celebrate Willie Nelson's birthday on this show? He's like 91.
He is 91.
Yeah.
I wonder what's wrong with him. I mean, God, you kidding?
But Willie Nelson has looked 91 since he's 51. The only guy that aged worse than Willie Nelson was Imus. That was it.
I mean, he'll live a long time.
No,
you can tell.
Willie Nelson?
Oh, sure.
No,
Look
that's
at him
over.
now. He's
no,
all right.
He's 90 already. So.
91.
91.
It's over.
Oh, 91.
That's almost over. Once you start missing shows, it's all over. That's it.
Okay, well, I'm sure he's missed shows before.
Replace him with somebody else. Who else is alive that's old? Is Bobby Vinton alive or Jerry Vale? Who's alive? Who's out there?
Jerry Vale.
Yeah. Oh, you know who's in his 90s? He's still alive is Frankie Valli.
Sure. Put Slim Whitman with him. That's it.
Do you know? Don't make fun of Slim Whitman. According to, hey, listen, I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't ask why. Channel 5, and they said that Slim Whitman sold more albums than the Beatles.
I'm gonna challenge that.
And I believe it. I'm like, oh my God, am I high or is this true?
Oh, wow.
Slim Whitman.
Wait till I tell Lou this. He won't know that. That's great.
September 8th at Bethel Woods is Slim Whitman, just so you know.
Yeah. I got my tickets already. Slim Whitman.
Pat Boone, is he still around?
Pat Boone's around, I think. Yeah. I think he is around. Who else? Any other good, any Italians left? Nobody, right? They're all gone.
Put Tony Orlando up there.
Tony's around?
Yeah.
He's only 80, though. He's a young guy. You know who's in his 90s and still sings, and he's actually on Gravesend this season, is Dominic Giannese, Uncle Junior.
I could see him on this ticket.
He can do it.
Robert Plant, Dominic Giannese. Are you kidding me? You could see him all of Bethel Woods. Who the hell's this guy? What is this?
Anyway.
I'm not high enough.
So I'm going to go see my mother coming up. That's going to be fun. And that's it. Big couple of days today, and we did a 5-hour show. It doesn't matter to me. I could do 5, I could do 8, I could do 11. I'm not even close to being tired. But once I get off the air, then I'm exhausted. Like if you said, Sid, work till 4, which I wouldn't do, of course, but I can do it. But then once I'm off the air, it's like, that's it.
When
everything
you stop. You stop.
You know that.
Of course.
It's crazy how that
home
works.
And you want to stop and not
Right.
do a thing.
Like, well, you sounded great an hour ago. Well, as soon as that red light goes off, it's over.
That's it.
But you could do it for hours. Hours and hours.
Okay, let's see how long.
No, I'm done.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we have a couple of minutes left and we're done. I got a big show tomorrow, and again, just to go over with the rest of the week here, tonight I'll be honored alongside the all-time great Darryl Strawberry at a golf course all the way out in Riverhead, Long Island. That will be after I make an appearance at the Rockaway Hotel for the Conklin family. Tomorrow, Danielle and I celebrate our 32-year wedding anniversary. 32 years. I remember all of it. Getting engaged at Buckley's, great pub, Nostrand Avenue. I think it's S, but it may be. No, it's S, because Michael's is on Nostrand and R. And the whole thing, the whole honeymoon and every place we lived. And now we've got 2 beautiful kids. We're both so proud of both of them, both Ava, who's at Israel right now, and Gabriel. Wednesday, talking about Gabriel, he starts his Summer Classics Basketball League, St. Francis. Very, very big deal. And his dad, me, I'm his coach, which I'm really excited about. And then Thursday night, you get Trump versus Biden for the first time in 4 years. The rematch, Trump versus Biden, the debate. And then you get to the weekend, and then we do 2 shows next week. And then next Tuesday after the show, I head towards the mountains. Yes, the Jewish Alps. Exit 104. Monticello. You all know it. You know it, Louis.
I know it very well.
Have you spent time in Monticello, though?
I've been up there, yes.
I know you've been up there. You have relatives, and so does MJ.
MJ has
north of that,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's wacky up there. Yeah.
It is wacky, but it's
calm.
It's calm. It is calm. Except at the pool by my place, where there are a bunch of, loud yentas and the most annoying Jewish people God ever created, ever.
Why would you have him on your show? I can't listen anymore if you do that. I know I love you, but...
That is pretty accurate. That was
How would you even fathom having that person on? Oh, it's disgusting.
That's exactly how it goes. It's unbelievable how you did that.
I was there.
We're done for today. Lou Ruffino, excellent job as always. Justin Ellick, terrific work. Noam Layden, great. We'll end with some Fleetwood Mac on Mick Fleetwood's 77th birthday. I will ask you all to say a prayer for Ava Conklin and her family on this 1-year anniversary of her tragic death. Enjoy the weather, hot but not as hot as yesterday. And as my friend Gene would say, God willing, we'll all be back for a 6 a.m. show tomorrow morning. So until then, from all of us on Sid and Friends in the Morning, to all of you, New York, peace!